Good evening to all you amazing people out there. Happy Wednesday. Is today Wednesday? Yeah, today's Wednesday. I always have to second guess. I always know the day, and then I got to go back and say, do I really know what the day is? But welcome. It's good to be here with you. We are on day 2, really day 4, second day of this week, day 4 of Pipelines, a journey into software delivery, automation, infrastructure, DevOps, and SRE. Long title. I might need to make it a little bit smaller, but welcome. How are y'all doing? What's up, Penguin Airlines? That's 2 days in a row. You're first twice. You're there. You're ready. Good to have you. What's up, Habanero? Good to see you. Shred Ghoul, good to see you as well. Sully, always a pleasure. I saw that you you were doing a lot of work, so hopefully you're able to get a little bit of rest, because that's a little too much work for me, even though I'm working a lot lately. I'm a little bit tired right now, but it's okay. This is gonna rejuvenate me right now. What's up, VA? Good to see you. Sammy Skin, the intermediate course won't start until like April, either late March or early April is when the intermediate courses will start. So these will go through the end of February for the most part, last week of February, I believe, or second to last week of February. And then we usually do some things in between. This time around, there will be some sessions to bridge the gap between the beginners, the apprentice sessions and the intermediate sessions. So there won't be a hard shut off and then a hard cut on. Have some plans for it right now. We'll see how those plans change, because that's right during the time that the baby's supposed to come. So we'll figure out how that's going to work. But I have plans for it, but I have someone helping me out with some things. So information will be coming out about that in the next probably 2 weeks about that. What's up, Lead DevOps? It is good to see you. It's definitely harder to remember what day it is when you're running your own business. Like, for sure. Like, I never, unless I have like something due, and I do have a lot of stuff due. I don't really remember the day. The name of the intro music. So good question. People do ask that a lot. I will post it in the chat. The name of the intro music is like Wave 100. It is actually from T-Pain. Anyone who knows T-Pain, I'm gonna buy you a drink and then I'm gonna take you home with. That's T-Pain. He streams here on Twitch, but he makes something called the Pizzle Pack, which is free music for people to use during their streams. And that is one of the songs off of there. So I can get you a link to the Pizzle Pack. It is from the Pizzle Pack 2. He has 2 of them, I think. And it's called Wave 100. Let's see. Sao Paulo City, good to see you. What's up, Ayo Kanye? What's up, Hellfire? Good to see you. What's up, Sharish? Crystallized Code, welcome. Rockadius, welcome to the channel as well. Good to see you. I am Frost, good to see you. Burning JC, always good to have you in the house. Dylan the Machine, good evening. I hope you're doing well. Nitro Sage, welcome. Manuk, all of my favorite people. Black Eagle, it's good to see you. Icarus and Propagation 69. All right, so tonight we have a lot of Linux topics to cover this evening. So we dove into the basics. We dove into what Linux was. We kind of talked about distributions. We talked about the Linux kernel. We got a little hands-on with some command line navigation, and we just got through the basics. Command line navigation, user management. We didn't really do anything with groups. We can do some stuff with the groups tonight, but we kept it pretty chill. Tonight we are going to go over a lot of other concepts that will kind of round out your ability to do things that you would do with a computer when you are managing a system, or so that you can just do the normal things that you do every day, you could be able to do from the command line in a Linux system. So it should be pretty cool. So the link for the slides should be released in the Google Classroom. I can confirm. And I don't know if you all are as astute as some people are. People catch some really interesting things, but you can see that I'm no longer using Microsoft Edge, because it really likes Microsoft products. I don't hate Microsoft products, but Chrome just works with my workflow a lot better. And I was too lazy to go around and switch up all the settings to make it be what I wanted it to be. All right, let's see here. Let's go to Classroom. Yeah, I mean, Bing's the biggest problem, and you can change it. You can definitely change it, but there's like some weird integrations and stuff. It is kind of weird. So if you don't have it, let me make sure everything got released, because sometimes I schedule things incorrectly. Cool. Also, this is the second week. You will be getting, right after this class, I think it's either scheduled to drop tonight, or I might have dropped it in the morning. I don't know, I gotta look at it. But your first assignment your first like actual turn-in assignment, as well as your first quiz, will be dropped after this. If you want the classroom link, go ahead and !register, and you can just enter your email, and it'll send out the classroom codes to your email, so that you can get this stuff. But I can also share this classroom code real quick since I'm in here. Let's see. Classroom, copy invite link, and let's paste this in here. First time catching live, I'm catching the previous video still, but I have to take this opportunity to say thank you for all your content. Absolutely, 100%. Want to switch to DevOps role, and your videos are incredibly helpful. Awesome, I'm really glad about that. That's what we're here for. That's what I'm hoping to do. So I'm glad you're able to find it. Pretty dope. Let's see. What's up, Bad Etoy or Badetoye? I'm tried it out. Let me know if I ever say your name wrong. Please let me know how you're supposed to say it. I'm gonna do my best to get it right. But it might take a couple times, but I'll get it. What's up, Nasty? How are you doing today? Telling VMware for Mac and creating an Ubuntu VM is pretty easy to do. Perfect. Exactly. Now you've done something you've never done before. You learned a little bit. That's exactly what you should be doing. You should be exploring like that. That's perfect. I love it that you were able to do that. You probably learned a little bit too throughout the process. It's good to do stuff just like that. So there is a lot of stuff to cover. I did create hold on, let me grab you the Notion link. I started to put together a Notion page for this, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't finish it, but it has enough on it, so it'll make it easier to copy and paste. I was basically just translating the slides into a Notion page so that you could more easily copy and paste commands, because Notion's really good for that. That's something I may transition to doing in the future, just because it's easier to live update it, and it's the static thing that I can make sure is good to go, and you can paste code and stuff in there. We might start using a lot more of Notion, but let me share this page with you. It doesn't have everything, but it's got a lot of stuff. And I'm gonna make a command out of that so people can get it later. Commands, edit. Let me make it so that it can't be editable. Good. Commands, add Notion. Maybe I'll just make it a Notion command and paste that in. But there we go. If it helps, my username is essentially Chris. It came from my friends who would want to say Chris. I like that. All right, now I will remember that for sure. It's always fun. It's always funny because I'm like, I follow a lot of streamers here. I spend a lot of time on Twitch. Like, it's become the thing to do for me when I'm working, and just like I like to have background noise and stuff. So it's either music or I'm on Twitch, and no one ever gets my name right ever. And I'm like, oh man, I feel like my name should be easier to get. But then when I look at it, I'm like, I would say the exact same thing every single time. So definitely let me know. I'll remember Chris for sure. What's up, Dorothy? Good to see you. And absolutely, I will share what you sent for sure. I'm gonna respond to find out. Let me know what forms are best, or if there's anything you want me to go with it before I share it out. But I would happily share what you sent me. I did see that. So did I get a new cam? I did not get a new cam recently. Not recently. I've had this camera for a while, but if you haven't been around for a while, then maybe, yes, I switched I switched lenses. That's probably what it is. I did switch lenses though. Oh yeah, I can add the Notion link in the classroom. That makes the most sense. Let's create, I'll put it here on the main page. Classwork. I don't really know much about announce something to your class. Notion link for Linux Day 2. Let's go with that. That'll work. Now people can have that. Also, do we have access to the classroom files after? Yes, these will stay around permanently. Each class will stay around no matter what. Like I said, unless there's like some kind of limit that you may hit in Google Classroom. I don't know of any limits, but yeah, they'll stay around. That's why they're stuck with the section. So this is Q1 2021. So when we run other Pipelines Apprentice programs, you'll be able to differentiate them between each other. So yeah, they'll be up and they'll be available. All right, so here we go. I forgot you all weren't even looking at me doing things on the screen here. So let's get started. I'll also open up that Notion page because I don't even have Notion on this computer, but cool. Yeah. Like usually, Notion, I love Notion. I will end up adding a nice little banner image at the top. We got to, actually right now, I got to put a little penguin up here because that's how things work. So let's refresh it. There we go. At least get the penguin up there so that it looks good. But here we go. Tonight, pipelines, day 4 of 16. So after tonight, you'll be 25% of your way through. I know it may seem like we're moving fast, that 25% already. Yep. But tonight's going to be packed with some really good information that you can use immediately. That's the best part about learning Linux is these stuff is things that you can use immediately. And that's what we'll be covering. So tonight is going to be package management. We'll learn about installing packages and how you manage packages on a system. File operations. This is something that we didn't talk about. Process and resource management and permissions and networking. Okay. So we're going to dive into all of these things today and it should be pretty good. So let's see what happens here. One, package management. We got to dive right into it because this is a lot of information. Should be pretty, none of it's that crazy though. So should be pretty chill, but it is a lot of information. So managing packages. How do we manage packages? What are packages? Oh, this is missing some slides, but no big deal. We can look at this. I will add this, but a package consists of a collection of files that perform a task. For example, so we don't need to read the for example right now, but all the packages is just a collection of files and all the data needed to install it so that you can work with it on your computer to get it installed and usable on your computer. And so the way that we install things on Linux, or one of the common ways to install things on Linux, is using a package manager. And so there are a number of options. It's not the only way. We're going to learn how to do it if you don't use the package manager tonight as well. But a package manager simply makes it easy for you to install, upgrade, configure, and remove packages on a system. And so again, we're saying packages. Right now, you can substitute the word packages for applications if you want. This is just like Brew on Mac. This is just like, really, it's also kind of just like the App Store as well. But we want to manage these packages. And so Linux, because a distribution is a collection of software over top of the Linux kernel, you kind of get distro-based packaging. And not only because of it's not only because of choice, it's also because different distributions are set up differently. Again, where they place files, how things are kind of set up. There is a difference between them. And so packaging is done based on distribution, usually. So due to distribution setup and collection of packages, distros of different lineages have different package managers. So those lineages are, those Debian-based distributions or those Red Hat-based distributions, those Arch-based distributions. And so we have different package managers for them. We're not going to learn about all of them. There are a lot of package managers. We're going to dive into the basic ones. Let's see here. Let's scoot this over. And so Debian-based package management. So this is things like Debian, Ubuntu. These are things that we've been introduced to. Pop OS, Mint, even Kali Linux is going to use these two package managers. And a lot of times people do not talk about the first one, but they're both pretty important. So the first one is DPKG. And really this should probably be the second one on the list, but DPKG. This is the Debian package manager. It is built into the system. You will probably not use this that often, most likely. There are plenty of great situations to use it, but you probably won't use it very often, but you should know about it. We're gonna do a little bit with it tonight. And the one that you're usually gonna use is called apt. And this is stands for Advanced Package Tool. There's a lot of information about this. We had some discussions last time when we went over Waddle. I was introduced to some things because I was always under the impression that apt was a program called Aptitude. Aptitude is a program that helps with package management on Linux, but it's not the same thing as apt. Also, apt is different from advanced package. There's also an apt that's different from advanced package tool. There's APT, there's APT get. We're going to talk about those things in a little bit. It can get confusing, but right now, apt is the package tool that is used to install things on Debian-based machines, and it's going to be your go-to for everything today. It's going to be pretty easy to use. what's the differences between the two? Why are there two? How are they different? So you know what to do when you are installing packages. So DPKG will install and uninstall .deb packages. So .deb packages. These are Debian based distributions. So the packages to get them installed end in the .deb format, short for Debian. apt will use DPKG to do the same thing. So apt actually uses DPKG. So apt is the tool that you want to focus on more so than DPKG. Apt is what you want to focus on, and it's going to do the same thing, but it also handles dependencies as well. So dependencies are those applications and things that you need to be able to install the application that you care about. So on Windows, or if you're trying to install a video game or something, a lot of times you'll need a bunch of other tools. You might need, the C library and what is it? The VST C distributable package. And it'll say, hey, I need you to install this first before you can install this game. This is how it works too. Apt will take care of those for you, where DPKG by default will not take care of those things for you. These are both, so no, not yet. These are commands. They are commands, but they are tools. They are pieces of software, okay? But they are commands as well. So we're about to hop straight into it right now. And so I shared this in the Linux guide, and you can look at this first piece right here. We haven't talked yet about the stuff below it, but let's hop in and let's get something installed using, I'm using Ubuntu here, so we can get something cool installed. So package manager, let me go here. I don't know what I would want to install that I don't have installed, but I could do something like sudo. Well, let's just do apt first. So apt, again, is the command. This is for the advanced package tool. It's a command line package manager, and it will help you do some stuff. When I type in apt, it gives me some information about what I can do next. Great. Let me type in dpkg really quick. And it doesn't give me that same help options. It says, hey, you need to select an action, but they're both tools that you can use. Again, you must be on a Debian-based distribution, so Ubuntu or Pop! OS or something like that. So just make sure we know that. HTOP, perfect. I don't know if I already have HTOP. I might already have it, but let's see if I have it or not. That's a really good one because we will use it later on today. So if I want to install something, the way that you install it, taking a look at what we have here, is we would do an apt install and the thing that you want to install. Okay, pretty simple. If I want to install something on Linux using a package manager, if you're used to brew is just like this. So let's do apt install htop. Now this is going to fail. I wanted you to see this fail. It gives us an error. It will generally always give you this error. So if you are practicing this and you logged into your Linode VPS, this is probably going to work. Okay. The reason it's going to work is because right now, let's use our commands. It's getting me an error. Whenever you see permission denied for something, it's even asking you, are you root? What is root? Remember, that is the super user of the computer. So for us to be able to install this thing and saying, hey, you don't have the privileges necessary to install this thing. So we want to go ahead and add that sudo command. Remember, it escalates your privileges to administrator privileges. And we're going to try the same thing. So apt install htop. And it's going to have you type in your password. Type it in, and it's already installed, but actually I'm going to uninstall it really quick just so you can see what an install looks like. And now I showed you something else, but it's not uninstall, it is remove, and then I'll install it just so you can see what an install looks like. This is a cool application to do. It should be pretty quick. All right, so now I'm going to install it. Very, very exciting. A lot of stuff will happen. You might see a little progress bar, and then it will be installed. We installed this tool called htop, and now I can actually type in htop and use this application. This was not something I could do previously if it was uninstalled. So pretty simple right off the bat. I do want to introduce you to, you might be looking through tutorials on how to install something, or you might Google how to install something, and you might see apt get instead of just apt. For all intents and purposes right now, these are the same thing. These are the same thing nowadays. Apt actually, it uses some of the standard options from apt-get. This used to be the normal way to do it. So instead of apt install, it would be like apt get, like apt-get. if you see that, same thing. You can use either one. Not a big deal for now. There are differences, but not differences that you need to worry about at all right now. Not super duper important. So that installs applications onto our system. Pretty simple. And then we also saw how you remove stuff. So if you want to remove a package, you go sudo apt remove htop. All right, so if I want to get it off of my computer, it's going to ask me if I want to remove it or not. And I'm going to hit yes, and it's going to get rid of it. All right, so it's managing all the installation for us. Pretty easy, right? Pretty simple. But the hardest part is, how do I know what the name of the package is? How do I know if I can get a package? So everything, you can't install everything via package manager. There are repositories which these packages are saved at and are managed. And so by default, you get access to some, and you can add other repositories. Maybe there's a private repository over here that has special things on it. You can actually add all those things. We're not going to learn about that tonight. Some of the things that we're going to do in the future are going to make us have to manage that. But that's something we don't really need to know tonight. But one of the hardest things is to know what packages you can install. This is where search comes in. You can actually search for package names if you're unsure. I don't think searching package names is all that useful, and you're gonna see why in a second. The best way if you want to install something is Google it, to be 100% honest, to find the package name. But I can show you a website to get it from as well. Let's see. Oh yeah, I could have done Apache as well. Yeah, still do that. Let's see. You code in Python? I do code in Python. A couple other languages. Not my preferred language, but yep, I know Python. When you install something, do you have to specify where it installs to? This is a phenomenal question. Or does it store into the current directory? Now, this is a really good question. There we go. Just gotta turn on the fan a little bit. It's a little bit warm in here. No, so by default, you do not have to tell it where to install. You do have the option of telling it where to install though. These are configurable things. So remember how I said these commands can take arguments, and if we look through, we can see how we could change it to a different install directory. It is possible to do so. You don't need to, because again, every distribution follows a certain ethos, and right now it is installing all these packages in the places that it believes to be the correct place to install it to. So no, you don't need to do that. Just do it. It'll get everything in the right place, but you do have the option to override where it is installed at. That's a good way. The preferred way nowadays is apt, but again, you'll still see, like, I usually type apt-get. I just got out of the habit of typing apt-get. Either one's fine, but I think the preferred way now is supposed to be apt. But yeah, and so if you want to get, people are sharing right now links to where you can look up package names for things. If you're not sure what something's called, you can look it up here, but you can also do it from the command line. So let's say I was attempting, I think I already have Go installed on here, but if I was trying to figure out what the package name for Go, or like if it was here, I can do an apt. Let's do a sudo, actually I don't think I need, I think I need to. Let's do a sudo apt search. And I can say, hey, maybe I want to look for Golang. And now I get tons of package names for that have Golang in it. And there are better ways to search this as well. There's some other Linux commands I could throw in here and I could pipe together to get all this stuff. Yes, I could use less to do this stuff. I just wanted to show you the massive list that you will probably get back when you search something, and why I don't love it. Less makes it super easy, a lot easier for you to get around with this. But I could go in here and it's possible for me to be able to find the name of the package that I would like. But the better place, I agree, is one of these places that's been posted, or just Googling it. I should be logged in, but I'm not. Well, I can grab it from the other computer's chat. Whoops. Copy. Let's see. There we go. That's for CentOS. I'll leave that up for a second, and I'll grab the Ubuntu one now. And I'll paste this in as well. And so here's where I can go through and I can look for things again, like Golang and versions and stuff. And it'll start to give me what I can do to install it. It'll start to give me the names of the packages that I can use. the different ways I can install it. So a lot of information here. It'll give me information about when it was updated, different versions, things like that. But again, in the beginning, I want you to simply Google, if you're like, hey, I want to install something like Ruby, or I want to install the AWS CLI. Google, how do I install this on Ubuntu? How do I install this on Red Hat? To start out, I think this is the best way to do it. I want you to be familiar with these places. But again, just like the man pages, I think it is difficult to learn how to use these effectively right up front. So I'm just throwing that out there. So pretty simple. If you want to install something using a package manager, you call the package manager by name. So in this case, it's apt or apt and install package name. If you want to remove it, apt, remove package name. Pretty simple process. If I want to search for packages, apt, search for package name. Pretty simple there. But what we can also do, well, there's a lot of other things we can do, but I'm gonna show you some stuff with DPKG really quick. But remember, DPKG is traditionally used for those to install those .deb files. So let's actually go back here, and I think I saw, and they gave me, Ubuntu. Let's see. What's the Ubuntu packages? Let's package sure, same thing. Here we go. Let me go with something like Golang again. And I may be able to get Groovy. Sure. This is whatever. You can sometimes instead you can grab the actual package files, and you can download the actual package files that are packaged up in the format for your computer. So .deb files. Let me see if I can find them here. What's the quickest place? I never installed .debs. If anyone sees it, let me know. Maybe I'm tripping. I haven't been on this website in forever. Current mirror list. Oh, here we go. More information on the .deb. Let me actually just look at it. All right, I'll grab one in a second. But you can grab this .deb file and you can use DPKG to install it. It's pretty simple to do. So you might be asking why, like, when would you do this? Why would you do this? There are a couple of ways of managing systems, depending on where you are, depending on what you're doing. So maybe you are working in the cleared space. Maybe you're working in the cleared space, and a lot of times, or sometimes in the cleared space, systems are what are called air gapped. So a system may not be connected to the network that you need to be able to download things. It may not be connected to the internet at all, and you may need to install things. And so when this happens, how do you get stuff installed? How do you make sure you have things that are available? Maybe you have a system that maybe you're doing something in the cloud and you're keeping it away from, it's not going to have access to the outside internet, but you need it to still be able, you need to be able to quickly spin up a new system and get stuff installed on it if you need to. And so maybe you save these .deb packages to another file system or something, and you put these .deb packages for specific versions of applications onto the system. And then you use something like DPKG to install that .deb package instead of installing it from the internet. That's a pretty easy way to do it. You ever use Alt left instead of clicking back? Hold on. Nope. No, I have not. But now that's a thing that I'm gonna do. I told you I'm back. I'm not that good at like regular computing. So me, instead of going back, I usually don't go back. I usually just open up a new tab. See, that's the life hack right there. You buy a computer with a lot of RAM so that you can open up more tabs so that you never have to go back. And I'm gonna start every time I click a new thing, I'm just gonna start opening up in a new tab, so I don't even need to go open up a new tab. Just if I want to go back, just click the tab to the left. And I think, can't you do like, there's a way to scroll through those as well. I'll figure that part out as well. But I'll grab a .deb in a minute. But yeah, .debs are just files. They're just packages that you can install manually. If you ever want to see what's installed, the packages that you have installed on your computer, if you're unsure about whether or not you have something installed, I can do something like DBKG, which is again the Debian package manager. I can give it a -L. I don't know why I typed an I, and it'll give me a bunch of stuff that is installed. So there's a desired state. Installed unknown. I can list out all of the packages and things. I can go through this. I can pipe together some commands to find out all the information that I need. But that is, it's there, it's available to you. It's a way to get information. So, if you want to know what's installed on the system, you can use dpkg to do that. You can find out some things via apt as well, but it's a little bit harder. dpkg is what you're going to want to find out specific system information and install hard files that you already have access to. And apt is going to install these packages from remote locations. It's generally what you're going to use to easily install applications from remote locations. Now I'm going to SSH into my Sandbox account, because again, you all made me install Fedora here. So it is Red Hat based. Is that the password? Yeah, here it is. So it's Red Hat based. And so Red Hat based distributions have a different package manager. It used to be something called Yum. And this is a point of contention now, but it used to be something called Yum. And so Yum still works. You can still type it in and it works exactly the same way. Well, the commands to do the things that you want to do for the most part are exactly the same. You can think about it the same way that you're thinking about APT. And so we can see here, if I cat etc issue, etc Red Hat release, we can see I'm on Fedora. Again, this is a Red Hat based distribution. And for me to install something, I can do yum install, and I can do htop from here as well, and it will install it. But although I would like you to use Yum to install this, I can't tell you to use Yum because they've moved on to a tool called DNF. Yum stands for like yellow dog, update or modified or something like that. I think that feels right. Yellow dog update or modified. I don't know what that means. I don't know where it comes from, but that is what Yum stood for. But DNF is the new tool, and when you run DNF, it operates kind of it has some Yum compatibility, so everything is still the same. So even if I wanted to do this, I would do DNF install htop. What does DNF stand for? I have no idea. Something like Danfield something. Don't know what that means. You don't need to know what it means. I only try to tell you what the acronym is in case it makes it easier for you to remember the command. But on Red Hat based distributions, Yum is what you want to do. Same thing for removing things. Like if I want to remove htop, I think it's remove, and I can do the same thing. And I can, get it off of my computer if I'd like. And if I want to install it again, I can DNF install it as well. So it's pretty easy to get things added and removed if you know the name of the package. Package names do differ amongst distributions, and this is something that's pretty important to know as well. This was something that was super confusing to me when I first started, when I was moving from Red Hat based distributions to Debian based distributions. I didn't understand that the package names were different. One in particular, especially during that time, was everybody was running Apache as your web browser. As your web server. And on, what's this thing called? On Red Hat based distributions, it is called HTTP. No. It's called, one of them is called Apache 2. Let's try this. One of them is called Apache 2. One of them is called HTTPD. And I don't know which one's which because I don't really use Apache anymore. Let me see. Let's see. So it's called HTTPD here, but if I go back over here, I think it's Apache 2 here. And no, not SUAD. And yeah, over here it is called something different. So that part's a little bit confusing. It's something I just want you to know about, that the package names might differ. So if you learn how to do everything on Ubuntu and you feel really strong at Linux, and you get over and you're trying to do some cool stuff on a Red Hat based distribution, and you can't find packages and you're having trouble, the package name is probably different. It's most likely different. So, just to be very clear about that. But yeah, pretty simple. Add, remove. Again, you can also do a DNF search to be able to find things as well. If I was unsure, I could have done DNF search maybe, and done an HTTPD and see what came up. But again, a lot of stuff will usually come up. There are more Linux concepts you need to learn first before you can effectively use something like this, effectively use a search tool to be able to find the information that you want. But I agree, Google is your best friend. I do encourage you to Google as much as you can right up front. All right. So yeah, that's most of the distributions there. Remove DNF list. Okay, so this is a good command to see what is installed on a Red Hat based system. And it'll show you what this is, listing out the things that are installed right here on this system. Looking at the command, it's a bunch of stuff. Again, we're about to learn about what this is, and we're gonna learn cat. We learned cat a little bit last time we talked about it, but we're gonna do some stuff with it tonight. But there's a pipe here. This allows you to take the output of the command on the left and basically push it along and pipe it into the command on the right. And so it's listing out all the things that are installed, and then it's actually piping it out with numbers. If I can remove this. Whoa. I can actually remove this part here, and we'll get it again, same list, but we don't get any cool numbers on the side. So if you just are interested to see like what little extra commands do, notice how everything's red and there are no numbers. So we don't know how many packages there are right up front, but here they are enumerated here. So that's pretty helpful. But I provided those in the document to help out with some basic stuff, so you can get packages installed or removed. You can see what you got around. You can search for packages as well. So the goal of things to know from package management is package managers just help you get some stuff installed onto a system, help you install applications on a system, and they do it pretty easily. And there are different ones depending on the distribution that you are using. Like I had one more thing for package management before we went into installing from source, but yeah. So the pipe allows you to run two separate commands. Yes and no. It is not, this is one, it's not two separate commands. It looks like two separate commands, but it allows you to take the output of what comes from the left and use it basically in the command that's on the right. So they're not really two separate commands. There are other ways to run two separate commands. You can run different commands like this. This is also something that's important. If you want to run more than one command, you can do it in two ways. The first way is to do an ampersand. And I can say something like ls, and actually let's do this. Let's do echo, hello, and echo world. So the echo command, all it does, if you've been watching Decoded, all it does is it prints something to standard out. It sends the string that I put into standard output. Standard output is the console, okay? If I run this, we get hello, then we get world. This is running two separate commands. What's interesting about this command though is that it's running two separate commands, but it will only run the second command if the first one finishes successfully. There's something called exit codes. We're not gonna talk about exit codes right now, but as long as the first one finishes successfully, it'll run the second one. Here, it is running two completely separate commands. You can also do them like this with a semicolon in between. Now, the difference between these two things is, again, this one will run these no matter what. It'll run this, and whatever happens, it doesn't care. It'll then run this, and then it'll keep going and run whatever's after it. This one, on the other hand, will only run the second if the first one fails. The pipe is a little bit different in that, again, it's running two separate commands, but it is taking everything that happens here and it is utilizing it as input for the command that's coming here. So cat by itself, if we just run cat in, nothing will happen. Like if I just run cat dash in, we get nothing. Okay, we get nothing because there's no input for cat. The cat doesn't know what to spit to standard output, and so the first one is basically taking all that data and spitting it into there. So pretty interesting concepts here. But yeah, so you can string together commands, but also notice it doesn't just need to be two. You can do as many as you'd like. I could put whatever commands I would want in here. We can do you know, so see, it ran hello, then it ran world, then it ran ls. But watch this. Actually, let me show you what'll happen. Let's say the ls was first. And let's say I said ls, and I told it to do an ls on something specific, like a folder called dude. Maybe there's a folder called dude, and I said first, go ahead and do an ls on that, then run these two commands. And so the first command runs and says, hey, I don't know /dude. That's not a file or a directory. I don't know where it is, okay? That's not a thing, but hello and world still run. It still ran those commands. Those are 3 separate commands. But if I change these to ampersands, to the double ampersands, and I run it, notice it does not print out hello world. Why doesn't it print out hello world? Again, the double ampersand says, hey, this command on the left must complete successfully before the command on the right is run. And so it runs the first one. It actually, the computer knows it failed because it actually is delivering something called an exit code, and an exit code of 0 says, hey, everything was good to go. Anything other than 0, there was likely an issue. And so once it receives a non-zero exit code, it says, hey, you did not complete successfully. And now I am going to fail, and I'm not going to run the remainder of what you have here. So, you know, it just good, like solid Linux concepts here. They're important, but don't stress over it right now. Definitely don't stress over it. But double ampersands, you must complete the first one. First one must complete successfully for the other one. A semicolon says, hey, just run one command after the other. All good. All right, and so here we're gonna hop into installing things from source. So we can install things from packages, package managers. What if we're installing an in-house application that we wrote? Or what if the version of the software that we want is not up to date in our package manager? Because that is a common thing to happen. And so this is where installing things from source comes in, or compiling applications from source. This, I don't know why, when I first learned this, we talked about all these, searching for packages, cool. Building it from source or compiling applications from source. This was super scary to me. I didn't really, originally, when I first did it, I didn't really understand what's going on. It seemed super hectic. When someone shows you, you can just install a whole web server by doing apt install nginx, you're like, cool, man, I know Linux. I'm the Linux master. This is the way things are done. And then you get to an application where you can't install it that way. You're like, well, then how the heck do I get something installed? We build it from source. And so applications and tools that are built to run on Linux can be installed by manually compiling its source code. So let's learn how to do that. And I always do this one because I always do this one with a coding language. Do I have Ruby on here? I do have Ruby on here. What about locally? Ruby's a good one. Okay, I don't have Ruby locally on my computer. Okay. Oh yeah, the bricklaying octopus, it is super satisfying. It's perfectly looped. I do love it a lot, but he's building, you know, he's putting together the building. So let's do that here. So something like Ruby, I could install Ruby. I could actually install Ruby from my package manager, but we want to make sure that we know how to do this. So if I Google, actually I don't need to do that because I'm not using this anymore. If I look up the Ruby programming language, and I'm like, okay, I really want to get this installed and ready to go. And I click download Ruby, and I'm looking around, and one of the options, they tell you a bunch of different ways to install it right up here. But they also tell you how to compile Ruby from the source code. And so when they say compile from source, remember, what is source code? We didn't talk about it here actually, but source code is the human readable code that you or I write. All right, so when we talk about writing code, we're writing something called source code. The computer can't understand that code, but we can understand that code, we can write that code. And so we are going to take that source code and we are going to compile it into an application that the computer can use. So I'm going to go here for Ruby, and you can do the same thing. I will share this link with you. I mean, Ruby on Rails is so Ruby by itself is kind of like Rails is what made Ruby great, to be honest. I mean, people still build Rails apps. I understand the love for Rails apps. It does make web apps pretty easy. It's not quite as big as it was at all, but there's definitely still a lot of Rails shops around. All right, so I'm gonna click this Ruby 3.0 and take a look at this. it's trying to download a file immediately called a .tar file. So I put some notes in the Linux guide for you so that you can see how to do that. So we're gonna get it downloaded in a second, and I think I showed you guys the wget command, which will allow you to make a web request and to download that file. But first, what we're gonna need to do is we're gonna need to make sure we have all the tools needed to be able to compile our application. And so there are a number of tools that are needed, and because this is something that you need to do pretty often, distributions package these into some easy to use packages. So if you're using a Debian based distributions, if you install build essentials, you may already have these installed. You might already have it. I think if you're on a Mac, I think you'll be fine as well. So I wouldn't sweat it. I think you'll have everything that you need. But if I do apt install build essential, it looks like I already have it. It installs a number of things. It installs a C compiler. It installs a bunch of different tools that you need to make this happen. So go through and click on that. The one for Red Hat based distributions, you're installing another suite of tools. It's not just one tool, it's a bunch of different tools. So make sure you do that first just to get all the things that you need, or else the subsequent commands will likely fail. So go ahead and go through and do that. Now, if we want to download a package from the command line, we can use, there's a couple different ways to do it. wget is a popular one. wget may not be available on your system by default. And I should actually check that because wget is not always available by default. Luckily on our machines it is. Another command you can use is curl. I think that's what we did it with last time, but curl is another good one. I will put that as an example here as well. Pretty easy to do. But all you got to do is go grab the link of the thing you were trying to download. We were trying to download this. So we're gonna click copy link address. So right click, go to copy link address. That will give you the link that you need to download. And so what I'll do is I'll go back over here and I'll find a good place on my computer right here. You can do it wherever you want. I'm going to make a directory really quick. So I'm gonna make a directory called Ruby, just because. And I'm gonna cd into Ruby just to keep this code separate. And I'm gonna type in wget, and I'm gonna paste it in just like this. Really nice output. Says, told me how fast it was downloading, how big it was, how long it took. Great. And if I look here, I have a tar.gz file. And you may not, this may be brand new to you, tar.gz. The different archive files in Linux, the different compressed archives in Linux are kind of confusing to people. It's called a tarball. It's a gzip tarball actually. So it's a compressed file. It's like a zip file. For right now, think about it just like a zip file. And so when you get a file like this, you need to unzip it. All right. So I think we did that last time too. I think we just ran the unzip command. Sometimes you need to unzip it. You've probably done that from your computer before. Tar.gz, essentially the same thing. We need to uncompress it and unarchive this file. And the way that we do that is through tar. You will probably, if you hit exclamation point Notion, C Sanchez, it should pop up. Just, exclamation point Notion, and it should give you the link for that. But tar is the command. You will likely have to tar, you will likely have to look up the letters that you want to use, the arguments to pass into tar. Tar is pretty powerful, but it's reliant upon the flags that you pass into it. And basically, XZVF, you can do XZVF. I can tell you what those mean. The X is for extract. The F is for, the V is for verbose. The F, I think, is to pass in a file. I'm not sure what the F is. We can look it up. I used to know what all these were. The Z is if it's gzipped, I believe. And so I'm gonna do XZVF and I'm gonna type in Ruby right here. I think I usually do XVF actually, but I'll leave the Z in there because I used to use XZVF. And I'm gonna click it. And it is going to uncompress that package into this directory, okay? It's gonna create a new directory and let's look at what's in here. John Wonton. So we've been getting a lot of very, very, very generous folks on the channel, and you guys make my heart full. Thank you so much, John Wonton. You've been a massive supporter of the channel for a long time. I appreciate the love and the support. Everyone who just received a sub, thank your gifter for, again, the lack of ads. That's the best part. Now you have access to some pretty dope emotes. I love it. Thank you so much, John Wonton. you're helping us spread the joy of tech, the joy of Linux. This is the best. You know, this is just a good day. Thank you so much for being for paying it forward and being so kind. Look at that, a total of 176 gifted subs over the course of our streaming days. I appreciate you sticking around so long and showing so much love. I really do. All right, so now just for you, we're gonna dedicate this package install to you. We're dedicating this Ruby. We're providing this Ruby to you, Mr. John Wanton. And now we're gonna learn how to install this thing. So it gave us a bunch of files. There's a bunch of files in here. Look at all these things. Way too much. We don't know what to do with them. All right, I know that can be scary. We don't need to worry about that. The first thing we're gonna do, the commands are all in the Linux guide. The first thing we're gonna do is run a /configure. And let's talk about what that means. One, dot in Linux means right here. It means right where I'm at. We're talking about that directory tree. We're talking about that file structure. We're talking about knowing where we are. When we do PWD, a dot stands for exactly where we are at this point in time. So it is /home, abrooks, Ruby, and then Ruby 3.0 or whatever. It is exactly where we are right now. And when I run /, it's referring to this directory that I'm currently in right now. There is, in here, it comes with this configure file. You can't tell yet, you haven't learned about Linux permissions quite yet, but this file is an executable. It can be run. Every file in Linux can't be run, but this one can be run. There's a couple of different ways you know that is. One, it's green. That's a pretty helpful thing. Two, there's little X's over here that says that let us know that it's executable. And so to execute a file, you just got to call it. You just got to call that executable. And when we run /configure, it's calling it right here. The reason why it won't work for us to just type in configure has to do with the way file pathing in Linux works, and it's something called your system path. We're not gonna worry about that right now. The / is how you execute this thing. And so /configure will go ahead and it'll set this off. What this configure does is it makes sure that your system gets configured with all the dependencies, all the things that it needs to be able to install this package. So it might take a long time. It works really fast. It's checking for all these things. It's saying a bunch of yeses and nos, and it's going to make sure that our system gets all the stuff that it needs before we continue on with this installation. So let's let it go. Let's watch it work. These are the things that make you feel like you're in the Matrix. That this instant feedback of a lot of stuff happening on screen is one of my favorite things. When I learned how to install stuff from source, I did it nonstop for a while because it made me feel pretty cool with what I was doing. Absolutely, John Wanton, I appreciate you as well. Thank you so much. You really are helping us continue to do these things. What's up, Aban? How are you doing? Good to see you. I'm glad you're here. It's all good. No need to apologize. You're here. You're ready. It's dope. Can it install without being verbose? I think you can pass in yeah, I'm pretty sure the configure. So one configure comes standard with the way these are created. And so by default, it'll run this. There might be something we can pass into configure to make it quiet. There are commands to make it quiet, to make these things quiet. I'm sure you could. I don't know what it is offhand. I'm sure you could make it quiet. Let's see. Is it always the configure file? Yes, it is always configure. It is always configure. If it is not, if the application needs to be compiled in some special way, they'll tell you. There'll be a README or something how to tell you this is the way that you configure things for Linux. No matter what distribution you're on, this is how you go through and you'll do it. So that's the first thing. It gets our computer all set up. Make sure you get this configuration summary at the end that sets everything up so that when we go to compile this program, all the stuff is ready to go. And so now we can go to the compilation phase. So we've set up all the dependencies. Now we can compile it. And the way that we do that is with the make command. And this sometimes takes a long time. So now make is taking all the code that was written and it is compiling it for us. So this can be a strain on your computer, to be honest. It can cause a little bit of load on your computer. So if you're working off a Raspberry Pi or something, it may take a long time for you to compile certain applications. Don't worry about that. But yeah, there we go. Let's see. Wait, okay, you're getting an error. I'm getting error in root Ruby installer configure. No acceptable C compiler. So Burning JC, did you go through and install? Did you run this command? Did you run the apt install build essentials command? Or if you're running on a different type of distribution, did you run this command? Now, if you're on a Mac, I assumed that you would already have I assumed that you would already have everything you need. Yeah, to GCC, the GC compiler. I assumed you have what you need, but I think you should already have it. But try to run one of these two, depending on your distribution. That should give you the tools you need. What's up, Kowashan? How are you doing? Good to see you. I'm doing good. Can't complain at all. Little tired, but I'm good. That fixed it for me. Excellent. Exactly. Like, this is interesting because it took me a surprisingly long time to find out about this build essentials package. What I would always do is I would run into errors and I would start to individually install the things I need. I'll start going around and Googling and I would start to get some different errors, and it was super weird. Unable to fetch some archives from update. Let's see. Yes, mirrors Ubuntu. What version of Ubuntu are you using? Main AMD Linux, AMD libc dev, Focal. Okay, Focal is 20.04. That should be good. Yeah, there we go. Apt update. Yep. So run this. Well, this is running right now, but if you run a sudo apt update, it should get all that for you. So what's happening when you run a sudo apt update, and while this is running, this is actually good information. Whoops. Actually, I'm not gonna do this while this is installing right now, but let me talk about what updating is. Because updating is different. Updating is different on Debian-based distributions versus Red Hat-based distributions. And it's something that can be pretty helpful to know. So updating, what is updating your system on an Ubuntu-based distribution or Debian-based distribution? What's happening is, like I said, your package manager has a bunch of locations that are configured that it knows about. It has a bunch of repositories for where these packages live at, okay? And it knows at any given time, it has a little database, and it knows what's there, what's available, and it knows how to go, it knows where to go get it from. What an update does is it refreshes its internal database with everything that's out there at those mirrors. It reaches out to those places, those repositories where things lie at, and it knows where it updates what it can get and where it can get it from, different versions, things like that. It gets all of that information and it puts it all back in the database. And so what happens is after you run the update, then you can go through and if something new has been added, if an update has been added, then you can go grab what you need from there. And so also, if you were to add another repository, like I said, maybe I have my own custom repository where I'm managing my own packages that I'm writing and I want my computer to know about it, I can do that. And when I run update, it goes and gets all that information and everything's good to go. What it does not do, a lot of people think it does this, it does not update all the packages on your computer to the latest versions or anything like that. That is what an upgrade does. So there's an update, there's sudo apt update, and then there's sudo apt upgrade, and that will upgrade all the packages that have updates from all of those repositories that have version updates and stuff. It'll upgrade all those packages. That's what it does on Debian-based distributions, okay? What it does, it does this differently on Red Hat-based distributions. When you run an update, it actually is it's updating the Linux kernel. If there's an update for Linux kernel, it's actually updating all of those packages for you. So it is actually modifying the packages on your computer when you are running it in Red Hat. So just something good to know. A lot of people don't know that when they move from one to the other, and then they go and they update on Ubuntu after being on Red Hat for a long time, and they're like, oh, I updated, everything's up to date. It's like, nope, it's not up to date yet. You still got another step. So just good to know. All right, okay, cool. I'm glad the update fixed it and installing of the build essentials. I love it. So this worked. The make finished. And what did it do? The make compiled the application into an executable, into something that could be run by my computer now, okay? But if I try to type in Ruby, I'll type in IRB, that's how you get into the Ruby, this is how you get into the Ruby interpreter. It doesn't work. It still says, hey, I don't like this. I don't know what it is. There's one more step. The last step is to install it. So we've configured it into an application that can be run. Now we got to actually install it into where it needs to go, and make install will do that for us. So I'm going to run a make install, and it's going to go through and do all the fancy stuff and get it all set up for us. So what are the steps to installing a package from source? Download it. After you download it, you got to extract it. Download it, extract it. Then you run a configure. So then you run /configure, make install. Download, extract, configure, make install. Download, extract, configure, make install. It looks like I got an error here. Oh, I got a permission denied. So that's fine. I'm gonna run a sudo. The reason, so you might say, how the heck did he know he got a permission denied? Is I got an error 1, and then quickly your eyes find, when you get used to looking at these errors, your eyes find it. I saw permission denied. The first thing that goes to my mind whenever you're in Linux, first thing that your mind should think when you see permissions is sudo. Go ahead and sudo that. And let's make sure that works out for us. Why does it not require a dot for make install? Great question. That's a really, really good question. So the /configure, that configuration tool is a part of the package that's delivered for you. So there's actually a little executable in here. There's actually an executable in that comes along when you extract that code. A little executable comes called configure. Make is different. Make is an actual system tool. So when we ran that install of build essentials, it gave us a tool called make. So we can call make from anywhere because it's a system tool. That configure command wasn't a system tool. It came as a part of the application that we downloaded. So that's why we don't need the dot, because it is a system tool that already exists on our computer. So a really good question there. All right, so now it's installed. And now if I type in IRB, I'm dropped into the Ruby interpreter. And how do you print in Ruby? Puts? Yeah, puts, hello world. Man, I cannot type hello world. And it prints out hello world. So Ruby is now installed, and we were able to do that through those commands. All right. So you can do this with just about anything. So let's say you find a cool application on GitHub or something. If you download those files from GitHub, you can install it from source this way if it's built for Linux. Anthony Writes Code, welcome to the channel. First off, shout out to Anthony Writes Code, another member of one of my teams. Again, I don't know who's on what team. I think Anthony Writes Code is a member of Only Devs. Let's see, Anthony Writes Code, all one word. Let me make sure I type that in correctly. But Anthony Writes Code does a lot of cool things, obviously like writing code. But again, when we're trying to learn how to do all these things and you want to immerse yourself, a perfect person to go follow, to learn some things and to really understand what's going on, to build some stuff with. So pretty darn dope. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome everybody from Anthony Writes Code's channel. Come on in. You might be seeing PowerShell right now. You might be like, ugh, PowerShell. PowerShell's nice, but I agree. It would throw me off a little bit as well. We're learning a little bit of Linux tonight. We started on Monday with some of the Linux essentials, Linux basics. Tonight we're doing the same thing. We just learned about package management and installing applications from source. We just installed Ruby from source on our machine. And so we just learned about, installing dependencies with configure and compiling it with make and make install to actually install it onto the system, and we're good to go. So yeah, that's essentially how you do stuff with packages in Linux. Those are kind of the main ways to do it. You're going to be dealing with packages all the time. You're going to have to get stuff installed all the time. Whether you're learning containers, like it's funny because I know people who started to learn containers and started to learn how Docker worked, but then they had trouble writing their first Docker files because they didn't know how to install packages in Linux. And it was very interesting. It was very interesting that the direction that they took, and like how important it is to know these things. So dope. That's all you got to do. It's not crazy difficult to do. Oh yeah, you're right. He is laying the bricks all wrong. They're lined up perfectly. That's actually, why'd you point that out? We were good. We just talked about how satisfying this was, and then you made it unsatisfying for us. I'm like, oh no. Oh, I gotta change it now. I'm gonna change it later, but I'm definitely gonna change it. Oh, I don't like that at all. Okay. So that was package management. Now let's go into process and resource management. Actually, no. Let me take that back. Let's go into a little bit of, it was supposed to be on here, and I might have left out some slides for this too, but really fast, real fast, because I don't need you to memorize these things. Part of learning what we're doing, part of learning the things that we're learning is learning about what you can do. Like, it's hard to learn Linux without knowing what you can do. You may never look up the command for something if you don't know that it's a possibility for you to do it. And so let's talk about some file operations really quick, because I don't think I put any slides in here for it, and we do need to add it to the document. But some of the things that we talked about with the double ampersands, running 2 commands in a row, some things that are going to help us as well. First command is going to be, let me go to a different directory really quick. What do I have around here? Let me go to, we put some stuff in here, conduit, cool, whatever. We'll go into any directory here. Let's talk about some stuff really quick. We talk about how to make directories. We're gonna run through very fast a couple of commands. So one, how do we create files on Linux? How do we create an empty file on Linux? Touch is how we do this. Touch is how you create an empty file. You type in touch and the name of the file. So I'm gonna call it emptyfile.txt. And it is going to create an empty file for me, okay? So it created this file. There's nothing in it. It is 0 bytes. Completely empty file. Great. Phenomenal. What you might not also know about touch is used to touch some files. If you ever, I don't know, well, there are times when you need to use this, but touch actually touches a file. What do you mean by touching a file? Take a look at this development.tfvars file. You don't know yet. What this ls command is showing the timestamp of this file. So last time this file was saved or modified was January 6th at 8:59, okay? And I'm actually, that seems wrong. Whatever. January 6th at this time. I don't know why it was that date, but whatever. Today is not that date. If I touch that file and then I look at it again, check this out. The timestamp in which it was last modified or touched is now, right now. It's now January 13th, 8:07. That's my time. And that is, yeah, that's what it says. No, it says 20, not 28. I know it looks like 28. It is just 8:20. D-Flare, that's a great question. Why would you ever want to touch a file? So this has a lot of use in automation. Let's say you had a processing job that every day went through and did something, and maybe it figures out what to do via timestamp of the file. You want to make sure all these files have been updated to say they've been processed right now. Maybe you need to process the file, but you don't need to make any changes to it. And so if you cat the file and pipe it through another command or something, it won't show that anything happened. Maybe part of your automation will say, hey, we processed this file, so I'm going to touch it so it has the latest timestamp of when we last processed this file. Could be helpful. I don't know. There's all the reasons to use it are probably pretty random. I'm pretty sure a lot of people here could tell you times that they've had to use it for super weird stuff. But yeah, so if you touch an existing file, it just updates the timestamp and makes no changes to the contents. That is correct. You are correct there. Yep. And yeah, and you can use it to create an empty file like we did here. And so another command, we talked about cat. Cat it stands for, I'm pretty sure it's just concatenate. Actually, let me just confirm that. I'm pretty sure it's concatenate. Yeah, concatenate files. So if you don't know what concatenation is the act of combining strings together end to end, or words together end to end. And so what it's basically doing is it's taking the contents of a file and it is spitting it out into standard output, which is this here. So if I want to take a look at a file, the contents of a file, I can cat development.tfvars and all of it gets spit out right here. And so if I actually look at this file, you'll see that the same stuff is in there. All right, but cat spits it out to the command line. Great, super fun, very, very exciting. Good tool. But another command to do this, if you want to take a look at part of it, you don't know how long this file is going to be. So this main.tf is a much larger file. If I cat main.tf, it might be hard to see what's going on. Like, it's not a ton of stuff in here, but there is a lot more than this file. Imagine you have something that is super crazy large, and that's a weird way to go look through things. It may not be helpful in the situation. Maybe you just want to check something. Two other commands you can use, really three other commands you can use to this are head. So if I do head main.tf, it's going to look at, by default, the top 10 lines of the file. It's going to show me the top 10 lines of the file. I can change the number to say top maybe 15 lines of the file. And now it's going to show me even more. So before it ended at bucket, which was right here, but it showed me 5 more lines. So great, that's how you look at the top of a file quickly. If you want to look at the top of a file, you can switch that up to be tail. So look at the end of a file, okay? Head looks at the top of the file, top 10 lines. Tail looks at the bottom 10 lines. Tail, you use tail a lot in Linux, especially for log parsing and stuff. But another way to do this is with something called less. Now, less is great, but it's a little bit of learning here on what to do. But less opens up the file in a Vim-like editor, in a modal-like, not editor, but a way for you to view this. So you actually have some cool things where you can do things like search. Like if I want to look for the word provider, I can do this and it highlights it for me. So less is great, a good tool to know about, but definitely know about it. Definitely put it on your radar, put it like write down less in big letters and say, this is a tool that I want to check out. If you don't know less, it's not going to ruin your career, but it's going to make things a little bit harder for you. Less is something that's very good to know. So I will write it down, but we're not going to go into all the intricacies of less because there are a lot of stuff here. So head to look at the top of files, tail to look at the bottom, cat to do the whole thing, to spit it to standard output. Less allows us a little more functionality in viewing the file. It's pretty darn dope. We learned about touch, which will create a new empty file. There are some things, there are output operators, or they're redirect operators. So I can do something like this too. I can do echo, and maybe I can put my name. So let's say echo Aaron. So if I do echo Aaron, it will spit it out to the command line right here. Great, very fun, pretty useless for us right now. But let's say I wanted to put some text into a file, but I didn't know how to do that. We created that file called emptyfile.txt. I can echo Aaron with a little greater than sign, little arrow. I can echo that into emptyfile.txt. And a file that was once 0 bytes is now 6 bytes and now has something inside of it. Very exciting. We now have something in it. How can we see what's in there? We can cat it, and my name is now in there. So you might say, cool, I can do this to write entire documents. And I can do this, and I can say, all right, I also want to put my last name in there. And I can do that. And if you look at it, okay, it's 13 bytes. You say, okay, 13 bytes. And you're like, okay, good. This is very, very exciting. And you look at it, and now it only says Brooks. It only says it. That's all it says. There's no Aaron. Where'd the Aaron go? Well, this operator right here overwrites every time. So it overwrites every single time. It basically clears out the file and it goes ahead and it spits that stuff in there. So if you want to not overwrite, you must do 2 of them. 2 of them appends instead of overwriting. So if I did Brooks 1, or if I just did Brooks again, it's gonna create a new line and do this. These are helpful things. Again, things I want you to know are possible. I'm running through them fast because I don't need you to memorize them right now. I want you to know that they are possible to do. And it's like, hey, cool, I saw that someone was able to stick some text into a file straight from the command line. You will probably do this often. Can you use a pipe instead of that output operator, that redirect operator? Yes, you can. You can do some stuff. There's a bunch of different tools that will allow it. But yeah, it just means you're gonna have to use a different suite of things to get it done. Like a pipe won't directly put it in there. Like if I echo Brooks and then just try to pipe it into that, it's basically gonna try to run empty file.txt as a new command, and like It's like, hey, this is not a command. You need to tell me what to do. So maybe if you were like, oh, well, can you just put this here? Well, no, this won't work for one, but two, why would we need the pipe if we did do that? But there are ways to stick it in there. There are other ways to get it in there, but no need to do that. But that will not work because that file is not an executable. It's not a command that the interpreter knows how to run. I love redirects with standard out and errors. Yeah, so this is something that we'll learn. One of the first things that we might do after this is run through the entire Waddle course, so like we can dive deeper into all these things. But yes, redirecting standard out and standard errors and putting them places is super helpful in Linux. Happens all the time. It's super dope for sure. Touch woman cannot touch woman, permission denied. That's a good Linux joke. I like it. It's a good Linux joke. You know, it's solid. All right, so those are some extras. Those are some little extra file operations. The pipe that we saw, it is helpful too. So remember, the pipe does allow you to run two commands, but it takes the output of what's on the left into the output on the right. So that's pretty helpful. But another thing that we can do, the last little extra thing I want to give you is the grep command. We talked about this before. And so grep is a string search tool. Okay, so if you want to search for strings, grep is how you do it. It works very similar to if you're in VS Code or something, or if you do Control F on a web page and you type it in, it works the same way. So if I want to see if there's any information, let's say I know the word bucket is in main.tf, so I can do something like this. I could say cat. Let's say I know this is here, but I want to find it quickly. I want to know what's on that line, and I can say cat main.tf, and so that'll spit out a bunch of code, right? It'll spit it all out on the screen. But when we run a pipe, it's gonna, instead of sending that output to standard out to the console, it's not gonna do that. It's gonna take it and it's gonna stick it into the next command, basically. And so let's say I want to look for something, and I can say grep bucket, okay? And you can now see we don't get a bunch of output. The only output we get is the line that matches the thing that we're looking for. Grep is absolutely one of the best features of Linux. It's pretty dope. We will spend more time on it for sure. I'm getting it introduced to you now because we're going to use it constantly throughout this course, throughout the course. So I want to introduce you to it, but yeah, it'll be good. Let's see. No, what's happening? No. There's a lot of O's. I was hoping you wouldn't teach them that. Don't do cat grep. I mean, so yes. Cat grep is the easiest way to show it out of the box. That's fair. I understand that. I definitely get it. It's one of the easier ways to show you how grep is important. You can also just grep the file. You can, like, instead of doing cat grep, you can actually grep the file directly. And so I can grep for bucket in the name of the file. I think this is the way you should do it. And it's the same output. So that's fair, Penguin Airlines. That's fair. You know, bad habits is something that you learn and you keep doing it. I know the other ways, but you get muscle memory going. That's fair. I appreciate you keeping me in check on that one. But yeah, you can also just look for it in the file name itself. That's fine. But the problem was I was showing you grep, but I wanted to show you pipe as well. That's the reason why we did it. Because I want to show you the pipe as well. But yeah, there we go. Yeah, I see. I know things. Now I do things wrong all the time. Again, you learn things. That's one of the problems. You learn things incorrectly, and then you just keep doing them. You find better ways to do them, and you just keep doing it. But this is how you can grep. But grep is just a string search. Okay, grep is simply there so that you can match strings. So you can do case sensitive search, case insensitive searches. You can match regular expressions. You can do all kinds of different things, and it's pretty cool. You can search more than one file at the same time. I can search all of my TF files, every TF file that's in here. Well, what happened? Oh, I could do with this. There's only one TF file here, so it did that, but it told me what file it was in. So if I had more TF files, it would tell me every single file. It would go through all of it. Pretty dope command. Very, very powerful. But again, just something I need you to know about, not necessarily something I need you to be an expert in right now at all. Just, I need you to know the possibilities. That's all. What's up, Tyron ATL? Good to have you. Factash97, welcome as well. Anime Focal, good to have you. Zagan6, Rocktopus, I love the name. Welcome to the channel. I didn't give you all your thanks for following. Good to have you. All right. So, bunch of little extra stuff there. A whole lot of little extra stuff. I know it can be confusing. I am gonna add all those things. Save the URL for this. So if you all don't know about Notion is a notes tool that you can use. Save that, because I can add everything to this page and it'll just update every time you get to it. It'll have all the updated information. So save this if you need it. This will be a good guide for us to build as we are kind of going through things. All right, we need to go a lot faster now, a whole lot faster. So process and resource management. So how do you manage processes on a system? So for one, all the process is a running instance of a process is simply a running instance of an application on your computer. That's all a process is. When you kick off a run of an application, if you start up a web server, if you start up whatever, a game, whatever you want to start up, it kicks off a process or processes that run on your machine. And we need to understand how to manage them, how to get information about them so that we can know what's going on our system. And it's really, really important. This is, when you're managing systems, yeah, this is super duper important, but it's not nearly as difficult as you might think that it is, okay? Process management, number one. How do we find out what's running? How do we know what's going on? I gave you 4 commands in one right here. We'll talk about all of them right meow. All right, first one is PS, which I'm pretty sure just stands for process. Okay, I didn't know if it had a special name, but yes, PS command is how you see processes that are running. This does not show you all of them. I agree, PSAUX is one of my favorites. Jay Farrow, I throw a W in there as well for wide column output. That's my favorite one, but that runs it in. So again, you learn things and then people come along and show you better ways to do it, or other ways. Now, I won't say better ways, but so if you want to see all the commands, all the processes that are running on your computer, -E will give you all of the stuff. Now, if you're looking at this right now and saying, wow, that's not what I expected, that is correct. The reason why there aren't a lot of things here, so you might be looking at this and saying, oh, you know, he has a reasonable amount of things running. Linux is running lots of processes at once to be able to make these things work. And this is a pretty short list. And that's because I'm running out of, this is the Windows subsystem for Linux. So it's hyper focused on what it's doing. It doesn't have quite as much stuff running as you might have on other systems. But over here, this is not the case. I am logged into a remote server right now. If I run that same command here, I'll run a PS. So you can see, same thing. But if I run a PS-EF, look at this output. And this is what people who are used to dealing with Linux are used to seeing. They're used to seeing all this other output, because these are all the processes that are currently running on the system. It is a lot of stuff, but that is a good way to see it. I usually use a PSAU. Thank you. Ugh. I usually use a PSAUWX. This is usually my output. It gives me some information. The W is not necessary, but it gives you a bunch of information. Let's take a look at what information you are receiving back when you are doing these things. So I'm gonna clear this. I'm gonna do a PS-EF really quick, and let's take a look at what we got, because it's pretty important. And she says hello. She's on the phone walking away. She brought me some water because I'm usually in here dying, because I always forget to get water before we start. You know, this didn't used to be the case when I had access to LaCroix, but LaCroix is not out here sending me drinks like they're supposed to be sending them to me. So, you know, LaCroix, get on the ball so I don't pass out of dehydration over here. All right, you never seen the W flag? The W flag is for wide output. I'll show you. It changes. It just changes the columns and like how much information is in them. It's not super useful on a laptop, to be honest. Like on a screen this small, not super useful. But yeah, you're lucky your wife just laughs at you. You know, she laughs at me for other things. Well, that sounds bad now. That sounds, you know, she laughs at me for things that aren't me passing out for water. How about that? That sounded bad for a little bit, but yeah, you know, that's how it is sometimes. I understand your pain for sure. All right, so yeah, let's talk about the different flags. The E on PS stands for like everything, I think. So first, actually, before we talk about the flags, let's talk about what you're looking at. The process is a thing on the right. All right, so this is the thing that's actually running. Okay, it's the command that kicked off the process. It's the executable that was run to run this. This is the command that was executed for this process to be running. Okay. It tells you, that's the CMD here. So on the left, you have the user ID. So you have the user ID that kicked off this job. So a lot of the stuff is running as root. We have some things running as system D. Nginx is running as Nginx, but mostly we have everything running as root. These are a lot of system processes that are here, okay? Now we have a process ID. This part is pretty important. This is the thing where you need to, this is a concept that you need to memorize because it's gonna help you be able to manage these processes. Process ID, these are unique identifiers for process. So it starts at 1 and it just kind of goes up and it gets bigger and bigger as more things are running. But this is, again, the unique identifier of a running process. So if you ever need to delete a process or kill a process or something, you can do that by referring to its process ID or its PID. People will talk about PIDs all the time. Process ID. I actually don't know what a PPID is. Someone tell me what a PPID is? Is that in, let's see, PSAEWX, that's not in here, is it? Yeah, I don't know what that PPID is because I never look at it through here. So if you know what that is, let me know. Oh, parent process ID. That makes perfect sense. So that makes sense. If it has a parent process, it will tell you that. So it looks like everything is basically running off of number 2. This one right here is basically the parent of just about everything. And so that helps. That's good. I never look at this. That's super helpful. This is usually the view I have, which will give you, this is the BSD format of things, Unix, that this is how it looks at the processes. So I also don't know what C is. I have no idea what C is. So if you know what C is, let me know what C is. S time, the system time is just the system time there. And the TTY. So TTY stands for teletype, and this is the device used for input. And so none of these have any of that. Or maybe system time, maybe S time's not system time. I assumed it was. It looks like it is. And then I guess this is the time that this has been running, I guess. Interesting. This output is only a little bit different, but okay, start time. Interesting. All right, so this is the view that I'm usually looking at that gives you a little bit more. It also gives you, the W also gives you, things are changing. Usually it'll give you the nice level. I can usually get the nice level in here as well, but we can get that to top, not a big deal. You don't need to be a pro at looking at this right now. What you do need to do is you need to look at, you need to know that the process ID is here and the command is here. You can get other information, who's running it, process ID, sometimes the CPU usage, and what's actually running. That's helpful. You can also use grep for this if you need to, like if you ever want to see what's running. It's important to know that PS is a point in time snapshot. That part is really, really important. All right. So is the dash not necessary for setting the flag? Not always. Some commands it is, some commands it's not. Sometimes I omit it. Yeah. Some commands it is, some commands it isn't. There are commands where like if you don't put the dash for the flag, it's like, bro, I don't know what to do with this. But yeah, I usually do it. I usually do it for most things because I'm used to doing it. But I feel like on these newer shells and newer systems, it'll probably work either way. But yeah. So again, this is a good way to find out your process. But again, there's a point in time snapshot. And so I can say, hey, I want to see if Nginx is running. And this is this is how I used to, when I got into a system, this is exactly what I would do. I would hop on and say, all right, this guy's web server is down, is Apache running? And I would go on and I would look at all the processes, and real quick, I would grep the name of the process that I want to see. And I would say, cool, look at that. I piped the output of this into grep and I looked for it. There are other ways to find this out, no big deal. But Nginx is in fact running on my system, and I can say, great, a process is running. I can see that it's active. And so now I can go to my next step in troubleshooting. But again, knowing that a process is running is helpful. Also, when you do this, If you're saying, hey, I already know Nginx is the problem, I already know for a fact, we need to kill this process, you can get the process ID like right here, and you can just go through and you can grab and kill it or restart, or do whatever you want to do with it. But it's a good way for you to be able to find stuff. So PS takes a snapshot of your processes at any given time. So every time you run it, it may be different. You may see something running at 1 second and then not running the next time you run it. So be very clear about that. Know that is happening. What's up, Vimo Lakala? Welcome to the channel. Djibouti. Welcome to the channel. It's good to have you both. Welcome. Okay, so that's one way. PS is really good. Let's talk about those flags really quick. And again, the way that you can find out what's going on with those flags is through the man command. So I ran PS, and they give you some examples here of what is in here. So I run traditionally AUWX, and again, A changes the output to the BSD style, and it does a couple, it does a bunch of other stuff. So actually, some BSD style without the dash options are used. Interesting. So there's some, I actually have never looked this up, to be honest. I did know that it put it into the BSD style of formatting and all in checking that out. So that's there. The X must have TTY restriction. I didn't know that imposed upon a set of processes with the BSD style option, the set of processes selected in this manner, in addition, process selection. Alternate description. I don't know what that means. I actually have no idea what that means. I also just use the X because I've always been using the X because someone told me to use the X. The only thing that I know that I use is, the only thing I know what it does is the W. Personally, I've only ever looked up the W. I have no idea I have no idea what I just read. Again, I told you guys, I have no problem telling you that I don't know something, and I have no idea what I just read. I read it really fast and said, yep, I'm not gonna spend any time on this because I don't know anything about it at all. But the W in particular, the one thing that I do know about it is that it will do, wide output, uses option twice for unlimited width. It's just what will show before any wrapping may occur. Wrapping doesn't always occur. Again, it depends on your shell, your setup, a bunch of different stuff. So it helps. I used to exclusively work off of these really wide monitors at my jobs, and it was super helpful to get all the information that we needed. What is the U? I didn't see a U in here. Display user-oriented format. Great. Let's see what happens when I don't put that in there. Let's see what it looks like with AUWX. Okay, great. Let's remove the U. All right, a little bit different. Oh, actually, it just doesn't include the user. Okay, so there's no user shown. The first column is no longer the user. That makes sense. If I remove the A or the X, let's see. Let me see I want to see what the X does. I can leave that off. Okay, it talked about, I think I know what it does. So notice how we talk about the TTY device. Right now, without the X, it's only giving me things that do have a teletype device associated with them, that do have a system device associated with them. So it's not giving me all the processes. It's only giving me ones that are tied to a TTY device. It's very interesting. So the X allows for things that are not, that don't have one, to be included in the results as well. Very interesting. I'm glad we looked that up and that I didn't understand it by reading. And then the W just changes the wide output format for wrapping and a bunch of other stuff. See how this is like wrapping, and I could do 2 for unlimited width. So pretty interesting. Cool. That's one way to find things out. Another way is the top command. This is a big deal. Top is a big deal. Top is how it's probably where I would tell you to go first, to be honest. Why? Yes, what you're looking at is super confusing. This is the most confusing output you could walk into at any given time. It looks crazy for sure, but it's great because it gives you basically all the information. It gives you pretty much everything you need about processes and system state, system resources, besides hard disk space. It gives it to you in one view, and it is not a point in time. It is not a point in time view of this. It is continuously updated. You can change the interval. You can change the interval in which it updates, but it updates every so often. You can see things that are changing over and over again. Sorry to interrupt you, but someone's in Discord sending malicious files to people. All right, I will definitely get them out of there. I think you should ban them from your server. Cool. Thank you for the heads up. I will I do have another mod, so let me send something to my mod and see if I can ban them right now. I did not know that was happening, and now I will have to figure out a better way to manage that. So thank you. I appreciate that. Document that. Is this the same person, Penguin Airlines? Actually, let me do that now before I forget, or in case the mod's not available right now. User who got same person. One second. Member list. Events. Now I don't even see them. I wonder if they left. Same person. American computer security consultant, all three. Oh, nice. Excellent. Let me see what's happening here. I'm gonna need some more mods. If anyone wants to be a mod, let me know. Because I'm gonna need to upgrade other people to mods. But why am I having so much trouble finding? They're not showing up. Hold on. I got this, I think. There we go. I didn't move this. All right, here we go. Moderation. Rules. Members. Got it. They're gone. They're banned. All right, they're probably going to find a way to come back, but they are gone from there. For now, they're banned. Thank you for the heads up. I will make sure to get something in place to help with move that faster as well. So yeah, I saw some people say they love to mod Dorothy. I'll absolutely, everyone. There's no tryouts here. You'll get everyone is. I trust you all until I can't trust. So yeah, there we go. Yes, don't. That is a very good thing to learn. That's a very good thing to tell everyone, is to not open up random files from random people. I would like to apply for absolutely. Hey, I got you. If anyone gets it, it's for sure you. You got it. you have it, and I'll figure out some nice perks to make it worth everyone's while who wants to mod. So I appreciate your willingness to help. All right, so this is top. Sorry about that. This is top. It has all the information that you need. So take a look at it. You can see that there are processes here. This looks like the PS output that we were looking at. You can see the process ID over here to the left. That's great. You can see how much CPU is being used by an application. So that's super helpful if you want to find out what's causing problems on the system, how much memory is being used, and a bunch of good information. Phenomenal. You can see all that process stuff. What's also nice is you can do cool things like you can kill stuff directly from here. You can stop processes directly from here, but again, you can get a lot of other good information. Take a look at this. It lets me know my uptime. So it says, hey, you've been up for, what is this? 1 day, 39 hours, 13 minutes. I'm pretty sure is, oh, no. These are seconds. So 1 hour, 39 minutes, 19 seconds, 22 seconds now. 57 days, sorry, 57 days, 45 minutes. Sure, I don't know what, maybe that's my session time. I don't know what this is actually. Lets me know how many users are logged in. So, there might be a lot of people who are using the system. So I can see how many people are in there. This is one of the most important pieces right here. Load. When you first learn about this stuff, everybody's going to tell you, this is going to tell you how much CPU is being used. This is not true. It is a metric that shows, that does show the strain on your computer. And everyone asks, how, like, what is too high of a load average number? And that question is hard to answer because it depends on the specs of your system, how many computer cores there are, a bunch of complicated stuff, to be 100% honest. But what it does show you more so is not the number itself. What it does help you see is the trends. So there are 3 numbers here. These are 3 separate numbers separated by commas. The first number is your 1 minute load average. So it's taking information. Load is it's a calculation based on waiting processes, waiting for CPU cycles. But there's like 8 or 9 things that go into what this number creates. But the first one is your average over a minute. The second one is your average over 5 minutes. The third one is your average over 15 minutes. Why is that helpful? The reason why that is helpful is because it'll show you where your system is trending. It'll show you that you have a problem. Let's say your load average for 1 minute is super crazy high, and these 2 behind it are pretty low. You can see that this problem is just starting. It is something that just recently started, and it's causing big problems. And as time goes on, your load average will start to go up over here, and you can start to get some information about when something started, if it's still occurring, how long it's been occurring. It's pretty helpful for you to be able to see that. Right now, mine says 0 because there's nothing really going on either one of these systems, but the numbers go higher and higher. Someone once told me that, like, for a system with 1 core, that 1 was the highest it should ever be, but this is not true. It's not true. So 0.9, like 0.09 is not, it doesn't seem like a high number to me at all. Again, when you get into the single digit, when you get into integers above 1, maybe, and again, it depends on how your system is set up, maybe a problem, but it's good to show you the trend of your system. So generally be less than the number of CPU cores that you have for well-performing systems. Yep, it can be higher due to some other stuff. Yeah, correct. That's generally what I've been told. My system has a lot. I don't know how many cores are on this machine. I can check, but it's a good indication of CPU. You can also see, so let's say you saw that load average was super high. By default, top will show, it'll show applications in descending CPU usage order. So you'll be able to see what application is taking up most of your CPU right at the top. You'll be able to see it right up here. You'll be able to notice what's going on right at the top, and you will be able to do something about them, okay? You'll be able to do something about it. All right, so that's top. Top is pretty great. I can send you some guides on how to use top more in depth, but it's a really good tool. But another one is HTOP. HTOP is better than top, okay? It is much better than top. You can already see it looks so much nicer. The reason why people don't give you HTOP out of the box is because the reason people don't tell you to use HTOP right out of the box is because you won't always have access to HTOP. You may be working somewhere where you can't freely install software. It's easy to get, but HTOP is really nice. HTOP shows you visually your memory usage, your swap usage, CPU usage. It's a lot easier to read, okay? And it has some cool tools inside of it. If you want to install HTOP, simply use your package manager, DNF, install HTOP, or not HTOP, just HTOP, or apt install HTOP will get you HTOP, okay? Either one, DNF install HTOP or apt install HTOP will get you HTOP. It's pretty dope. Oh yeah, people asking how to get out of there. Yes, Q, just Q for which question? But yeah, Q will get you out of stuff. Control C will also get you out of a bunch of stuff as well if you are unsure. Interesting, but I already have this on the system. So HTOP is pretty cool and it shows you a lot of stuff. This HTOP is much better for things like memory and stuff as well. So if we go back to top, take a look. It shows us how many tasks we have running, a bunch of cool stuff. It shows us some CPU information that doesn't make any sense, but look at memory. So if you want to find out what memory is being used, I don't really like the way that it displays it to you. Yes, we could pass in some other options. Not H. How can what does C do? No, there's some ways to get these things to be more human readable, but yeah, it's a little bit harder to read in this space to know how much memory is left. So HTOP I find to be, if you can install it, I would install it. you saw that everyone was like HTOP, like people know about HTOP. It is a commonly used application. I'm sure one day it will be included. It'll be included in things that are going on. Another thing about top, like when you start to dive into these things, you can, there are keystrokes to sort these things properly. Like you can hit Shift M, which will do it by memory first. So now I changed the sort order from CPU to memory order. So it'll put the thing with the most memory right up top. Really nice. You can do a lot of cool stuff once you dive into these applications. It also gives you some help on how to use some things down below. So it's really good. Does HTOP record to file like ATOP? I don't know. I've never done that before. Never needed to do that. That sounds like something that might be cool, to be 100% honest. So I don't know. It's pretty dope. Okay, so 2 ways to find out your processes that are running: PS and top or HTOP can help you find out what processes are running. So let me I installed All right, so now let's say you have an application that you want to stop. Kill is the command to do that. Let's say, hey, I don't know, Nginx is causing problems. I want to stop it. Yes, I could just stop it. Let's say I tried to run the command to stop this process. Oh, actually, we didn't even learn how to start and stop processes. So one, if I want to stop a process, you can use, there's a couple different ways you can do it. It depends on how the application was started, but you can use a piece of the system, system D, or maybe you're on an older system and you're using sysv. There are a couple of different ways to start up applications and to shut down applications. So let's say I wanted to stop Nginx. Right now, Nginx is running. I ran this service, Nginx status. It told me what was going on. If I wanted to stop it, I just do service, Nginx stop, and it will try to stop this for me. And if I run a status again, it now is no longer active. It is now dead. And so now I can confirm this. How can I confirm this? The way that I can confirm it is to check my processes, and I can grep for Nginx. And now it's not running anymore. You might say, hey, you got a response back. It is running. No, this is actually my grep command. I can make it not see this. What is it? -I think. No. What's the command to make it not show? I never remember what it is, but it doesn't matter. I never use it because my eyes know how to ignore this. -V. Is it -V? That seems like it wouldn't be that. No. That I knew for sure it wasn't -V. I knew 100% it wasn't -V, but I tried it anyway. Yeah, okay. But I didn't want to. I've been wrong on here before. V is always verbose. It's always verbose. I just did it. You got me. That was good. That was really good. I respect. Definitely got him. Yeah. Does anyone know what the command is to? You can get a grep command to not find itself. So on the process list, that when you run that grep command, it is now a process in the system for when it is run. And so because you're looking for that word, it's guaranteed to be in there every time. I'm not sure what to fix, extend. I is ignoring case. That makes sense. Oh yeah, it should be. Yeah, I feel like invert match. I don't know what it is. Obsolete count. Files with matches, files without. Only matching, only match. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Doesn't matter to me right now. I don't need it. But yeah, man, it's so interesting because no. So I feel like it was definitely not. Oh, I was just trying to figure out what the grep command is to not get the actual. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that again. To not get the actual command that you are running set here. I feel like it is -V. It might be -V because so yes, V is verbose, but like it's inverted. Oh no, that makes sense. The -V is inverted, so it's not that one. pgrep for not including grep. I didn't know anything about pgrep. I've never heard of pgrep in my life. Nice. Didn't know about that at all. There's definitely another one. You can pipe with grep v nginx. Okay, no, there's definitely a flag to do it. There's definitely a flag to not get the output, but oh well, not a big deal. You grab pretty interesting. Learn something new. You know, I'm old school. I'll try to find out who opened up this file, and maybe we need to put a little blast out there. Thank you for finding that. I'll see how to mitigate. I'll figure out how to mitigate. Hopefully it wasn't. Maybe just for fun, I'll open it up on a random. I'll open up in a VM or something to see what happens. To see what it is. I kind of want to take a look at it and see what. I wonder if they sent it to me. I'll find out who did it. Thank you for letting me know. Also, if you opened it up, I apologize. Please don't sue me if that's something that you can do. I don't know if it's legal for you to sue me, but definitely don't. How you gonna mention all those tops without bottom? I mean, you know, hey, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. First off, is bottom an application? See, now I got to try it. I got to check. I never know when people are trolling. I know nothing about this. Let's try DNF installing it. And I'm gonna app this. Well, first let's see what DNF comes back as. I got to try it out. Okay, all right. I got to see. I could have searched for it. Okay, good. We didn't get anything like that. So, all right, cool. PSEF and grab with the, with the first letter, like done. I've seen that as well. Okay, all good. All good. Where to find more info about the process? We only get the PID and the command for the process, but not the process name. So, I mean, the process name is essentially like it's the command that ran it. It's not quite like you would see in a Windows machine. Like the command that ran it, that is the process. That's the process that's running is the command there. That's the process that's running. Oh yeah, we do we Terraform. You know, we're going to do a whole week of Terraform. We're going to do an entire week of Terraform here for sure. That's the fun stuff. That's all the really good stuff. We're not doing Terraform right now though. We're just messing around with some Linux stuff. So yeah, PS will do that. We learned about HTOP. If you want to kill the process, so I started it and I can stop it using whatever the system management tool is. Again, you can use. It used to be old school. You might see me sometimes now doing like this all the time because I still do it. Like if I want to start Nginx, this is the old sysv way of doing it, and I would do something like Nginx start, and that would work. But this is not going to work right now because that's not the way that you do it. Now there are a couple different ways. There's system control, system CTL, and I always forget which one goes first. It was a start Nginx, and this will start up Nginx for me. And now if I look for Nginx, I do have this running. So this is essentially the name of the process right here. And service will do it as well. You saw me run service the first time. So I ran service, Nginx status, and it gives me information about it. I can also do the same thing with system control, and I can do status, Nginx. So there's a couple different ways to start these things up. There's a lot of compatibility right now because there's been some flux in what's used to start processes and stop processes. So that's great. But one way you can kill processes is I can say, you know, PS, I can do the same PS command that I just ran, and I can find out the process ID of Nginx. So I can say, hey, I don't want Nginx running anymore. And I don't really know which one it is, but let's grab this one because it's the first one, and I can kill it. And I can type in kill and press that sucker right there, and it should kill the process. Now, that did kill the process. Kill is great because kill has a couple of different options. You can kill everything that's associated with it. You can gracefully kill things. The only kill I want you to know right now is the regular kill, and I want you to know kill-9. Kill-9 is a really good command. And again, kill-9 will kill it'll kill the parent, it'll kill all the associated processes along with it, like that are helping run it. So if you really want to get rid of it, sometimes you think you'll be killing the main process, the parent process, but you won't be killing the parent process. You'll be killing one of the child processes, and it'll like come back, it'll respawn. It won't do what you want it to do. Kill-9 wipes. It's the ultimate kill. It wipes everything out. Kill is really nice. If you want to end the process, that's the way to do it. You can also do it through top. So if I start Nginx again, Man, I haven't used top in so long. And if you can find Nginx somewhere as it's running, you can also hit K from, okay, first, don't do that yet. You find the process on the list. You find it. Let's search for Nginx. So right now I typed in a slash, I typed in Nginx, it took me to Nginx, and I can kill it using, wait, that's what I want. I can kill it. And these are the SIG terms. These are the numbers you want to kill it with. When we did the -9, that's what kills everything. And I can hit that and it'll actually get rid of Nginx for me if I want to go ahead and do that. But you don't really need to know about that right now, but you can kill stuff from here. Again, I want you to know that there are things that are available. You don't need to know how to do it right now. All right, so htop ps is how you find things. Now, what about resources on the computer? What if I want to find out, so we found out how much RAM and stuff we have, but what are some better ways? Free is how you find out how much RAM is available on your computer. This readout is really nice, but it can be really confusing. Do I use pkill often? I don't use pkill often. I don't use kill often at all. Why don't I? The reason why is because nowadays I don't really do systems. I'm not managing systems that are running we're running processes directly on, to be honest with you. And that's probably the reason why I don't. I used to kill things all the time. I never used pkill. But again, I'm kind of when I was doing all my Linux administration stuff, I was it wasn't that long ago, but it was semi old school for what I was doing. So no, I use -9 all the time. I use the kill signal 9 all the time personally. So yeah, I'm sure it's definitely overkill, but it's what you do. It's what you do. That's what I do. So free is how you find out how much RAM is available on your computer. And so it's a snapshot of RAM that is available. You might be looking at it right now saying, gross, I don't know what's going on there. And again, that you don't want that. That's you can do a couple different things. This is not an output because it's giving to you what, in kilobytes. And so you can change the option. So if I do a -M, it's going to give it to me in megabytes. And if I do a G, it's going to give it to me in gigabytes, which may not be helpful, but I would just do an H. H makes it human readable. Okay. So H makes it human readable, easy for you to read. So now I can see that I have 2 gigs basically available on my system. I have 168 megs used, or megabytes. Is that what it is? It's megabytes, I think, which is the 0 and not the 1024. So just 1000. I think that's what it is. And I have this much free. I have 683 free. So one thing that's super confusing about this is swap. I'm gonna talk about swap really quick. And I'm gonna talk about this cache, this buffer cache. All right. One, what is swap? You might see swap all the time. Swap is important. It used to be much more important than it is now. It's definitely, it's important, but it used to be super important. Now we have so much RAM, like you can get so much RAM on a computer that this is not necessarily as important as it used to be. But remember, we talked about computer processes a little bit, and your processor is taking instructions directly from RAM. Things go to RAM first, and the RAM's super fast, and it sends stuff to your processor. Your processor processes it, sends it back to the RAM. Great. You know, there's a little cycle going on, figures out what to do. But what swap is swap is a space for things that are going to sit in memory for a little while. It is hard disk space. So it essentially allows you to have more RAM. It gives you additional RAM. It gives you space for storage, but it's on the hard drive. It's on the hard disk. And so it's much slower than actual RAM. And so what it would do is your RAM would kind of offload things to swap, and it would swap information back and forth between the hard drive and the RAM sticks. And this used to be a problem again, when it used to be useful when we were only working with, 4 gigs of RAM and stuff like that, 2 and 4 gigs of RAM. Now your computer may have might have 8 or 16 or even more than that. My desktop that I'm streaming this also off of has 32 gigs of RAM, and my other desktop has 64 gigs of RAM. So it's plentiful now. It's not as important as it used to be, but it will put data there and keep it there for beta. It takes some strain off of it for data that's going to be long lived, or just so you have some space for things to go if you should overrun your RAM as well. So that's cool. This output is sometimes hard to read also, because sometimes you will see that you have like a bunch of this used. It'll say almost 2 gigs used, and you might say, Oh no, it won't say almost 2 gigs used, but it'll say you don't have that much free. And you might say, man, like what in the world is going on here? Why don't I have that much free? And you might see that there is a bunch taking up in the buffer of the cache. This is essentially free data. This is essentially data that that space that when you need it, it will take things from things. It's caching things. There's a buffer there. There is space there. So sometimes this can be a little bit misleading on what you have free. What's helpful for you to know is what's left here. Honestly, is what will help the most. I had a lot of issues with this when I was first troubleshooting things. I would get on the systems. I'm like, it's out of RAM. We need to upgrade right now. And it was because I was reading this completely incorrectly. But no one ever told me what was actually happening in the way it was allocating things. So free is how you find out stuff about memory. DF is how you find out stuff about hard drive. So you can find out processes and CPU information through top. You can also find out RAM information there as well, but you can find out RAM or memory information through free. And then you can find out disk space information through DF. So I added that H again. So DF gives you information about file systems. All right, so this is giving me information. I know this can be confusing to read, but you know, it's giving me different mount points. It's giving me different drives to different file systems. So slash, you know, I have 25 gigs available. I've used 22 of those gigs. Oh no, sorry, it's 49 gigs large. I've used 22 gigs and I have 25 left. I'm using 48%. And don't worry about what all the other drive types and things are, but it just gives you information about how much is used. This is pretty important because disk space, if you ever have seen a machine, a Linux machine get 100% disk usage, it's problematic. Remember, we said everything on Linux is basically a file. And so when it needs to do things, when processes need to be spun up, whatever, there's files being created and moved and done, and like all this is happening constantly. And if you have 100% disk space usage, your computer, it's actually pretty hard to diagnose right up front because your computer, it acts erratic. It does all kinds of crazy things. You may not be able to do anything at all. And so it's super weird. So DF is pretty important. I mean, you need to know how much, you know, what's being taken up, how much space you have left. It's pretty helpful for you to know. Linux community is here. I want to give congrats on the great and awesome stuff and give knowledge. We're always learning. I'm going to this way. Thank you so much. So stuff dope. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. I really love when everyone's coming through and helping me out. Like I said, I learn stuff all the time from y'all. I didn't know anything about pgrep. I never heard that in my life, and I've been dealing with Linux for years. Never seen pgrep in my life. Never seen it come up anywhere. I've never seen anyone use it. Never. I work with a lot of people who know Linux really well. Never seen anyone use it. I love that. One, I love being a part of the community. I love that you all are helping me out and giving people all of the good stuff. I appreciate it. Let's see. Yeah, iNodes is important. We're not going to talk about iNodes yet. iNodes is important. I think that's a lot for this evening. 100%. We are the community for sure. We are all the community. Seriously. All right. So here we go. That was, so DF, there's also DU. I shouldn't have done that. DU right here. No. Where am I? Oh, okay. And now I see where I was at. I thought I was in a different directory. Let me go into Ruby. I can just DU Ruby. All right. So another command that helps you figure out disk usage. Man, I forgot there were a bunch of little things in there. But another command is DU. And this is also for disk space, but this is specifically for the files and the directories to let you know how much space is being taken up by these things. If you want to know how large a file or directory is, you can use DU run a find command to go through all the files and folders on your computer, and you can pipe it to DU to figure out how big each thing is, and you can order it from largest to smallest. It's pretty darn great. So DF is for the whole file system. DU is for disk usage of individual files and directories, and it'll give you how large each of them is. So that can be pretty helpful. So all the commands that you kind of need to kind of gather information about your system: top or htop, ps, free, DF, and maybe DU if you need it. So a couple of quick commands to help you identify what's going on in the system. It's not everything. Like I said, I've shared some other resources with you. I have some resources coming to kind of get you farther along there. Just want to introduce you to some ways to do that. There's a lot of other, there's a lot of flags and all kinds of stuff that'll make it easier for you to find out some good information. But now you at least are introduced to some of the things that can get you to the information that you need. So all these are here. Pretty easy commands to remember. Like, they're not super complicated. The words aren't hard, super difficult. So yeah, you know, it's nice. All right, man, we have permissions, and all right, we're gonna spend time on permissions. The networking will run through pretty quick. All right, so hopefully you all can make it to 9:30. I think 9:30 we can be done by. So I'm sorry about that. It's on the calendar for 9:30, but hopefully we make it through here. So this is the biggest thing that I want you to learn tonight, to be honest, to understand the concept of. Out of all the things we talked about, I think Linux permissions is one of the most important things, because it's the concept that you're gonna touch all the time, and it's gonna take the most practice to get super comfortable with. Okay, so let's run through Linux permissions. What are permissions? Permissions in Linux control what and who has access to files and directories and processes, as well as what actions they can perform with them. So we talked about this in cloud with IAM, but permissions, just like you probably run into permissions issues in Windows and stuff before as well. But it's who can control something, what can they do with it, and Linux permissions go through and they allow you to set that information. It's a pretty simple process, to be honest. I really like the Linux permission system. It has 3 permissions. Okay, this is what you need to memorize. 3 permissions: read, write, and execute. So read allows someone to be able to look at the file, to read the file, but not make any changes to it. Okay, so all they can do with read permissions are read it. They can't make any changes to it. They cannot run the file either. All right. Write says, hey, you can write to this file, but you can't read it. Doesn't make any sense. I don't know why you would want that. It's like, I do know situations where you would want that, but you can write to the file, so you can modify this file. You cannot read the file though, and you cannot execute the file. You can't run this file, but you can write to it. And execute says, hey, you can run this file, you can execute this file, you cannot read it, you cannot write it. All right. So those are the 3 permissions that you get in Linux: read, write, execute. Read, write, execute. Read, write, execute. R is for read, W is for write, X is for execute. It's not E. I'm sorry about that. Thank you so much for the great session. Got to head out. Peace. I'll get it online. The other 2 videos are going online tonight too. Had some issues with my automation, but I uploaded them manually. Takes a while to process. They'll both be up tonight, so check it out later, Chris. So thanks for coming through. I appreciate it for sure. All right, so remember that: rewrite, execute, rewrite, execute. Pretty important. There's only 3 of them. It's not crazy hard. How do we see the permissions of a file? How do we know what permissions a file has? You've been looking at it the whole time and not really realizing. The way that you do it is ls-l. And so let's go back to our terminal real quick, and you can already see it there, but ls-l. Here are the permissions right here. These show you permissions in Linux. All right, and take a look at it. What do you see? You do see the first line. You see a D, but you see a bunch of, you see RWX, RWX, RWX. You see a bunch of lines. Looks confusing. It is confusing at first when you're first looking at it, but those are where the permissions are. We're gonna break down what they are in a second. Okay, we'll talk. Let's actually look at it before we go to this next slide. So, what does this mean? What are you looking at? All right, you're looking at 3 different. You're actually looking at 3 different permissions. So, really, these are the permissions that are set here. These are also the permissions as well. Both of these are the permissions. Here is who owns the file. So, owners is this. And then the blue is the permissions. Okay, so each file has an owner, well, it has an owner and a group. So the first line right here, these are the owners, these are the groups. So there, two things can have ownership over the file. So one user, a user can own the file, and then a group can be associated with the file as well. Every user gets a group associated with it as well. So you will see root, or you'll see a username twice. Oh no, we're getting stream lag. No, hold on. Let me see. Can you hear my voice? Is it it looks good. No, I can see the lag you all are getting. I think my camera might be hot. Let me see. Nah, I'm dropping frames. Let's see, hold on. Let me see what I can do about this. Hold on. So voice is clear. And nah, I can. It's dropping. Hold on. I can fix this. Somehow I can fix this. That looks like it's having a pretty tough time. Close this. Let me turn this off. 1 second. Storm. I'm watching it. Group hide. All right. Yes, it's I can see that it's having some issues for sure. Let me see what I can do, if I can do anything at all. I feel like I used to blame this on Twitch. I do think it's me now. I think it's my computer, but I don't know what about my computer it is. Hold on. Let me try one quick thing. And I'll see if I can get this resolved. Okay, so turn the quality. So I can turn the quality down. All right, this is the last try, but I don't think it's working. Am I back? Am I back? It's still showing I'm dropping frames though. But let's see. Yes, yeah, maybe. It's still showing I'm dropping frames though. Okay. Well, if I'm back, but it is stuttering. Yeah, it looks like it's stuttering on my end. Like the metrics are showing that it's stuttering. Well, let's see. Okay. All right, let me. Yeah, it's not my internet's fast enough, but I have gigabit internet, but it's not pushing. It's not pushing all of my bit rate that I need. But it's because it's dropping frames. Yeah. Yeah. My internet's fast enough, but I have gigabit internet, but it's not pushing. It's not pushing all of my bit rate that I need. But hold on, I think. Yeah, I think we may be okay now. Let me see. Okay, that does seem better. That seems a lot better. Now I'm getting feedback because I'm watching the stream. Okay. All right. All right. Yeah, it just went from red to yellow. Okay, so that's a good thing. All right. So while I'm still good, real quick. Well, here's what we'll do. I'm gonna keep going because it seems like it's stabilizing. I'm gonna keep going. If it has some issues, we may still do this anyway. I will stream this Saturday. It's not supposed to be office hours, but I will stream office hours this Saturday to cover any of this stuff. If there are any issues, but it does look like it's stabilized. So hopefully it is stabilizing. It seems weird. My computer's definitely powerful enough, even though it's dropping frames just now. It seems super weird, but my internet's also fast enough. I do have gigabit internet, and I'm only pushing like 5 megs up or 6 megs up or 6 gigs up, and I'm supposed to 6 megs up, and I should be able to get that, but it looks okay for now. So let's just real quick, let's see if we can get through Linux permissions, and if not, we will go over everything on Saturday. So I'm sorry about that. So let's do this really quick. So we have owners and permissions. So a user can be the owner of a file, and then a group is a collection of users. So you can assign a group to have ownership over this file as well. So that's what we have here. We have the owner on the left, the group on the right, and then we have the actual permissions over on the left. So pretty interesting. Let's see. So we also have, in this image, ignore the first column, but you have 3 octets here. So let me open up a whiteboard here. It's Twitch. I hope it's Twitch. I think it's Twitch, but I feel bad for keeping saying it's Twitch because it seems to be a network problem rather than a drop frames problem. But I don't know. It keeps dropping my bitrate that I'm pushing. But you have 3 octets plus 1 really. So you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and each of them is aligned, and you do get one at the front. And the first one's going to be it's going to tell you what it is. And so if it's a directory, there'll be a D there. If it's a special file, it'll show you that as well. You don't need to worry about that. Ignore the first thing. But what you get is 3 individual items. Okay, you get 3 individual items, and you can look at them that way. Each 3 tells you the permissions of the file for a certain group. Okay, the first one, each of them can be read. It can be RWX, 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 in that order. That's what they can be. So it'll either be a line. It'll be a line if the permissions do not exist. There will be a dash. If the permissions exist, it'll be there. So take a look. We have RWX, R blank X, R blank X. All right. So what that means is, it means that this file for academylogo.png, for this image file, we have read permissions, write permissions, and execute permissions for this section. Then we have read permissions, no write permissions, and execute permissions for the second one, and read permissions, no write permissions, and execute permissions for the third one. Now you might be saying, what in the world does that mean? Who is that for? I don't understand that at all. I get it, completely get it. What are they for? Well, first 3. This is for the user. All right. So the first 3 is for the user. It's the permissions for the user. So the user of this file can read it, they can write it, and they can execute this file if need be. All right. So that's what the first 3 are for. The second 3, are for the permissions of the group. So group, go here. So that means if you're not the user permissions they trump all. The user permissions, if you're a user, if you own the file and you're that user, you can do whatever those are. If you're a part of a group that owns it, if you are in the group that owns this file, that means You can read it right now. You cannot write to it right now, but you could execute it if it was an executable. So you can do all of those things. Phenomenal. So the first one is the permissions for the user. The second three are the permissions for the group. And the last three are the permissions for the rest of the world. This is everybody else. So anyone in the world can read this. Anyone in the world can execute this file. Anyone who had access to this computer, they would be able to do that to this Academy file. So that's what the three things are. Rich Baghdad, thank you so much for the Twitch Prime sub, 3 months. That's amazing. It's good to have you. And so this is how Linux permissions work. Okay, so it tells you the first three are the user's permissions, second three, group's permissions, last three are for everyone else who should access this. All right. So super it is pretty helpful. It gets confusing to look at first. Now, how do you set these permissions? How do you set them? How do you change them? So a file has a owner, a file has a group, a file has a set of permissions. How do you manage those things? And how do you use these things? So yes, user, group, everybody. I love it. So the way that you set these, the way that you can change these are through a couple of different commands. All right. So let's say I wanted to change the user. Let me actually make a new user really quick, because I don't think I have any other users on the system. Let me go ahead and do a user add mastermind IO. All right, so I just created a user for this. Also, I think a couple people just followed. I missed a couple people followed during all of the weird networking debacle. So welcome to the channel, everybody. We're running late, so I'm just trying to get through this. I will give you your shout outs shortly. So I just added a user to the system. If I wanted to change who owned this file right here, the way that I could do that is simply by doing chown. Okay, chown is a command that says it's change owner. I'm changing the owner of this file. All right, and through the chown command, I can change the user and the group if I would like. If I were just to do this, this would change I have to change mastermind IO and then the name of the file. All right, invalid user, I spelled it wrong. It's supposed to be master MND. All right, so now that I changed the user of this file, check this out. The user changes. The user changes to mastermind IO. Now mastermind IO has these privileges, R, W, and X. All right, and root, anyone in the root group can have these, and then everyone else can have these. So read and execute. Great, phenomenal. That's how you can change the user. Now, what if I wanted to change the group as well? You can change the user in the group with a colon, and I can change the group also to mastermind IO. I can create another group. Every time you create a user, it creates a group as well with their name. It does them both. So I can change them both by doing that. And now, whoa. And now if you look at it, I both own it, or Mastermind IO owns it, and the Mastermind IO group is assigned to this thing as well. So using the chown command, change owner, is how you can go through and you can modify the ownership of the file. All right, so now that we know how to change ownership, how do we change those read and write permissions? And I'll show you in a second what happens when you try to access these files when you don't have access and all that other stuff. But we know how to change the user in the group. So chown is how you do that. Now, how do we set the permissions? The way we set the permissions is using some sweet numbers. All right. This is pretty important. This is the one that you will forget. You'll forget this, guaranteed. And you have to refer to this a few times, and it takes a little while to really get, but we use numbers. Each permission type has a number value, and they're always in that order. It's always read, write, execute, always. And read has the value of 4, write has the value of 2, execute has the value of 1. Why were these numbers used? The reason why these numbers are used, there's a couple different reasons, but the main reason is that any combination of these numbers will always give you a different value, okay? So there's no overlapping values using these. You can't double up. So if we should add all these numbers together, it'll give you certain permissions. So if something has read access, if you wanted to have read permissions, that's 4. If you also wanted to have write permissions, that's worth 2. So you add those two things together. So 6, the number 6 can only give you that combination. It can only give you read and write. All right. if we wanted read, write, and execute, if we wanted to have all those privileges for someone or for a group or for everyone else, that value will be 7, okay? So the values that you can have 1, 2, you can have 3, you can have 4, 5, you can have 6, and you can have 7. So you can have up to 7 combinations of these things. You can also have 0 as well, so you can have up to 8 combinations of these things. And so if we wanted, let's take a look back at the thing that we had here, and you refer to these permissions, you refer to them by their numbers. And so you might hear somebody say, all right, hey, Aaron, I'm looking at the system. Can you tell me really quick what the permissions are for the academy logo.png file, okay? Yeah, yep, bit flags, 100%. Can you tell me what the value of academy logo is, what the permissions are? And you might hear, like, your first instinct might be to go, oh yeah, it's got read, write, execute, read, execute, read, execute. That would work. It would work, but probably pretty useless. The way that you normally talk about these things is you run the numbers real quick. So this has read, write, and execute. What do those add up to? 7. All right, so you add up each of those octets there. So 7 right there. Then we have read and execute. So read is worth 4, execute is worth 1, so 5. And then we have read and we have execute 5. So the permissions for this file are 755. That's how you would refer to it as, really 0755, that's fine. 755 is how you would represent the permissions for this academy logo.png file. So maybe let's look at another one that may be a little bit different. Take a look at this one. This Kubernetes config that we're looking at, it has read and write. So that's 6 and 4, so it has 6. Then it just has read and nothing else, and read and nothing else. So these are 4. So this is 6, 4, 4. Okay. So it can be pretty confusing. It can be pretty confusing when you're trying to run through this, and when you're looking at it, immediately it's hard to run the numbers really quick. But it's again, break it up into 3 different sections in your head. Break it up into those 3 octets. And so, you know, if we have an R, this is worth 4, worth 2, worth 1, and you just have to add those numbers up, and so it'll tell you exactly what you do. If you have the permissions of just 1, like let's say I had the permissions of 1, 0, 0, 0. What does that look like? 0, 0, 0 looks like this. That is what 0, 0, 0 permissions looks like. 1, 5, 7. Let's try something like that. How would we do that? Well, 1, 5, 7 will look like this. It can't be 4, it can't be 2, but it's execute. Then the 5, how do you get to 5? You got to put the 4 there. So you got to put the read will be there, and then the execute will be there because that's 4 and that's 1. And then the 7 will be read, write, and execute. And that is what 157 will look like. Some common combinations are 655 is a common one, 755 is a common one, 644 is a common one, 400 is a common one as well. These are some of the most common ones for permissions of things. Like I think there's a common thing for like web servers and stuff, especially LAMP stacks, where like if you're running WordPress or something, where all of the directories are 655, but all the files are 755 or something like that. It's pretty interesting. But this is how you would specify that in the command that you would run to enter in those numbers is the chmod command. So all these combinations, you know, they add up to a unique value, and we can use that value to express the permissions. And so kind of like how we did chown, we do chmod to change those permissions. So if we wanted no one to have access to a file, to this academy logo.png, I would chmod that to 0, 0, 0. Be careful doing this. Don't do this to anything, because you may not be able to change it. If you're the root user, you can, but you know, I can change it to 0, 0, 0. And when I look at it now, look at this. It has no permissions right here. All right, it has 0 permissions. No one can do anything with it. So right now, if I were to, well, it'll let me do stuff with it. But if I tried to, like, it's a PNG file. So let me try to rename it to test.png. It's gonna let me do it because It's gonna let me do it because I'm the root user. But if I was not the root user, it would not let me do that. Let me move that back, honestly. And I should change my user. The root user is gonna allow you to do everything that I should change from the root user right now, but I don't have other users perfectly set up. I added Mastermind IO, but Mastermind IO doesn't have a shell or anything right now. I could do all that, but I don't really, well, that's a little more time than we have right now. But if you were trying to access these things as someone who couldn't do, like right now, if anyone else who did this besides the administrator would get errors, would say, hey, you are not, permission denied, you are not authorized to do this thing. But right now, because I am root, it's gonna let me do whatever I want. But yeah, can you chmod a group or user as well? So we are doing that. So chown is how you change the user of the group. So chmod is only for these. It's change modify or change mode, or I don't know what it means. But it's only for these permissions over here. Chown is how you change this. Change owner is how you change the user in the group. Chmod is how you change these numbers over here. And again, it is affecting the user in the group and who has access to what. So it is, it can be pretty complicated. Part of the assignment that you're gonna have, you're gonna get practice with this. Part of the assignment that I have is gonna run through part of the quiz as well. You're gonna have to convert like 8 or 9 of these. So to get your numbers, it's okay. You don't stress about it. You'll get some practice with it. But it's a fairly simple. It was very complicated when I first heard about it. The first time I was trying to learn it, I remember thinking about how difficult it seemed to me, how far-fetched this process felt. Because on Windows, you can just click the little boxes. The number system, I really do like. I really like the system. Like it's not just a number system, but I like to call it the number system. But it does help out. So we're gonna do some practice with this during the assignments, not a big deal, but I want you to know that this is how Linux permissions work. You know that you only have 3 options for the things that you can do. You can either read a file, you can be able to write to a file, or you can execute that file. So those are, nothing crazy special beyond that. That's pretty easy to remember. Change mode, perfect, thank you. Pretty simple. And that although there are a lot of lines here, although this is a lot of letters, break it up. Just break it up into 3 sets of 3. And then each of those applies to different things. Now, sometimes when you're Googling stuff, it'll tell you to do, it'll add a 4th number. So it might be like 0755. That's okay. Again, that first thing tells you what it is. So right there, it shows the directory. It'll also show if it's some kind of other special file. It'll give you a little thing there as well, but I wouldn't, right now, you don't need to worry about that. Yeah, you don't need to worry about that. Just the 3 letters, in Linux understands when you put in those 3 numbers, it understands how to do it. But yeah, everything that you see with the D in front is a directory, and it's telling you that this this file type essentially is a directory here. But yeah, that is what that's telling you. Any questions about permissions? We're gonna hold off on the network stuff. And we'll do the network stuff on Saturday. I'll run over and do that on Saturday. Luckily, the network stuff isn't super crazy. Actually, I'm gonna touch on it super fast, but we're not gonna dive into it. Just some quick networking commands if you are confused on if you wanna find out some information about your computer. It used to be ifconfig. ifconfig used to be the way to see all of your network interfaces and your IP addresses and stuff. This is not my IP address. So this is my system's IP address for in the cloud. This used to be the way. This is actually not available on some systems now, particularly Ubuntu systems. The way that you do it now is IP-ADDR. That's using the IP tool. And there's a lot of cool things you can do with that, but you can find out your computer's IP address. You can find out MAC address. You can find out all kinds of stuff using these tools. Pretty helpful. You can also configure these network, your network cards. You can configure these network connections through here as well. But yeah, it's ipconfig on Windows, but it's ifconfig on Linux. But again, ifconfig, like if I try to do that from here, it's probably gonna fail. Yep, see, it doesn't come by default anymore. It's not the standard tool on Debian-based systems anymore. IP-ADDR, the IP tool is now what people are using to do that. One great thing, that's cool. There's also commands to check. You can use ping to check the system is up. So you can like ping, if you're worried if google.com is down, you can ping it. Every system can't be pinged, but this is good to do with things inside of your network. It requires ICMP to be enabled. We'll dive into that. We'll dive into that on Saturday. I just want to just introduce you to some of these things. Traceroute is a great one as well. Traceroute is a good one to trace the package path. When you send a packet over the internet, it's going to trace all the steps it takes to get to a destination. So if I want to see what steps my packet takes to get to google.com, it'll show you all the points. Remember, I'm on a Linode server, so check this out. It's starting out at a Linode server, and it's showing you all the network hops that it's taking to get to where it needs to go. It might take a little bit to get there. Really good tool. Again, these are tools that are going to help you in the future, but you don't even know about them right now. I just want to introduce you to some of those things. So Traceroute's pretty dope. Ping's pretty dope. So this also, we didn't learn about ports and stuff. We'll dive into ports. This is taking entirely too long, but so when would you use Traceroute? You would use Traceroute, DFlare, when you are seeing that you are unable, if you can see that internet is working on your system and you're able to reach out to certain places on your network, or you're able to get information from certain places, but it appears that you can't get information from a particular server or particular service. Traceroute, it helps because it shows the path that it takes. So if you're trying to figure out where the blockage is, and you're trying to figure out where the network issue is happening at, Traceroute will show you, it'll show you where your packet is making it to. So it's pretty helpful in troubleshooting network issues. NetStat is a good one, but NetStat also is something that's not available on by default on systems. I'm a NetStat user for sure. If you want to know about open ports, so ports, what are ports? Ports are just they're just open communication protocols on a system. They're channels. They're channels for communication basically, and different services run on different channels. And they have port numbers. They have numbers, and so when applications are consuming those channels to be accessed, they're consuming that port and they're listening. It's called listening on a port, and NetStat can help you figure that stuff out. NetStat can show you, hey, right now I have Nginx running over port 80. So that's a common port. That is the port of the web. Port 80 is a port of the web. DNS is running over 53. And so SSH, the way that you log into a system, is always, it generally runs over port 22. So that's a way to check. NetStat is a command to do that. You can also do it with LSOF. What do we need? -I-P will show you listening things as well. And this is for open files. So yeah, there's a bunch of networking commands. We're gonna go over these networking commands in depth. But just wanted to pique your interest a little bit, throw them out there so that you could see some of the things. But there are, all the things networking related you can do from the command line, and there are a lot of cool tools to enable it and to help you understand what's going on. Networking is pretty important, and so we're gonna dive into it a little bit on Saturday. But yeah, that's it. I won't hold you for much longer, and I also want to get out of here before the system starts having issues again. I'm gonna see if I can troubleshoot that tomorrow morning. Actually, I agree with you, DFlare. I told you, networking is where I'm the weakest for sure. Out of all the things that I know, I think networking is where I'm the weakest. I know some networking stuff, but I do feel like it's tough. Someone asked earlier, is it possible to change the permission of a file where root cannot rewrite and execute it? Good question. That's a really good question. I think so. I don't know. I actually don't know that one for sure. I feel like I've done it before, but I don't know. Yeah, so I know about the sudo and file stuff too, but I don't know. Can you Linux make file unavailable? Let's see. Unavailable to root? Maybe, I don't know. That's very interesting. Make directory unmodifiable or deletable except by root? No, that's not what I want. I want, can root super user read my read protected files? Yes, root can. In any case, even if root couldn't read your files, they can always log. Yeah, so maybe not. It seems like, I feel like I've done it before, but I don't know a way to do it offhand. So maybe you can't, but I feel like I've done it to myself before. Not in standard Linux Linux. Yeah. I feel like it's possible though. Maybe I'm just dumb. Maybe I like somehow just did something weird. Could you try password protected? So that's what it seemed. It seemed like you could download like a key ring to try to do it. That seems pretty interesting. But yeah, no, I don't think you could. Like, I think the root user, that's what your root user's for. You know, there are ways. We didn't talk about Linux run levels and stuff, and you know, root pretty much has, you know, God level access to the system. There's probably no way to do it, to be honest. Like, even if you could do it, even if there is a way to do it, like by default, I bet it could be overridden. I bet it could still be overridden. They might have to do a little extra work, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's a good way to do it. Unable to change. Oh, no, this person can't do it. Long press. Oh, this is not. I don't think this is Linux. Oh yeah, using Root Explorer Pro. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Yes, that's what I'm gonna go do. I am gonna go sing to the baby. That's what I do need to, and I need to eat. I have not eaten today. Thanks for sticking with me through the technical problems. I know we went through a lot today. Check out the Google Classroom. I think they only gave you like 2 or 3 resources for now. I think in the morning, I think the quizzes are going to drop in the mornings. The reason why the quizzes are going to drop in the mornings for everybody is we tested this out with a few other things. One is to let your brain kind of chill from tonight. And some people will feel like they have to go do it right now. You can do whenever you want. It'll drop first thing in the morning. And I think there are 30 or 40 problems in it, or just questions and things to answer, as well as your first assignment. And all the instructions will be there and a part of that, so don't sweat it. But I will also drop a few more resources. Again, make sure you bookmark that Linux guide, because I'll add some of these commands and stuff there. On Saturday, we'll do some more of the networking stuff, just to make sure we get that under control. And again, I'll record that. You should have seen the Git stuff. I think I posted it. I'm not sure which day I posted it on, but if there's an unlisted video, I definitely posted it in at least 2 of the classrooms. If not, I'll ensure that I did it here, but it is already up on YouTube. It's available. I chopped it up so you all can check that out. But yeah, oh, dope. Yeah, also, yes, definitely check out, please click the link from Dorothy's Not Spam. Check it out for sure. If you know anyone who may be able to, let me actually see if I can pull it up here. Did I log in? I did not log in. Actually, I can copy it. But if you all know, whoa, something weird just happened. Hold on. Some numbers, all these numbers just popped up. That was scary. But yes, Dorothy, I'm gonna shoot you a message. I've been crazy busy, but I'm kind of done with everything now, or like really close to being done with everything. But yeah, definitely feel free to share all those things. If you're looking for roles, if you think people could help you out, please, you know, feel free to share. If you know how to help, please, like, reach out, you know, do your best. If you have some connections to your company's hiring or something, let us know, let people know. You know, share all the information. We're here to get jobs. All right, we're here to work. Yeah, we're definitely here to work. So pretty dope. We'll see what we can find. Like I said, I'm talking to someone now, because cybersecurity, especially in this area, especially now that everything's remote, I might have some good news for you. I'm serious. I really might have some good news for you. I'm waiting for someone to get back to me. It's someone who's actually in the business cohort that I was with, who went through the process with me. And they actually may have a couple of roles available. So I'll make sure to get you information on that if that is the case. But I don't want to get your hopes too high up, because I was still waiting to hear back from them, but I will definitely let you know. But cool, that's it. We're gonna go head over and raid somebody. I don't know who's on tonight. Thanks everyone for the follows. Alpha, Rubicide, YH, Python, welcome. Nico Knight, X Coast, welcome. Thank you so much for coming through. Thank you so much for spending time. Sorry if I missed anyone. There was a lot going on. But yeah, open to remote roles. I'm from Costa Rica. Absolutely. So really soon, I wanted to have it up. I actually really wanted to have it up by this week. But I'm gonna have a way for like I told you, there are jobs coming to the channel for one, but there's also going to be a process for you to be able, like, for people to let me know, like, what you want to do, and like for us to have a conversation about what you want to do. and seeing what we can find. Like I've been making a lot of connections over the past year with organizations and trying to figure out how to truly build a pipeline to get companies to hire directly from people who participate in the channel. Like the goal is to get people jobs, so I'll definitely be grabbing that information. But I wanted to wait. Like last time, I tried to just have everyone send me resumes. That didn't really work because I'm bad with emails for one, and it was time consuming to run through them. But been working on a little pipeline to make it easier to make sure everyone's information can be saved, so that like when things do come through, especially like everyone can be contacted who might be interested in something like that. But we're working on it. I promise you, we're working on it. X Coast, thank you so much for the Twitch Prime sub. I appreciate it. Remote SEO, definitely a good site if you're looking for remote jobs for sure. All right, okay, I will host Joseph Caffarelli. I don't know who this is, so I'm gonna do it without looking. So, all right, Thug Muffin, I got you. Also, good to see you, Thug Muffin. All right, at the end time, I see you just came in here. But yes, we will raid this person. I'm assuming you're all adults. If you're not, I'm sorry for whatever you're walking into if this guy's wild. But let's do it. Let's see. I went 100% remote in December. Check out jobs. This is good. I'll save these. I love these resources as well. Gary Cox. Dope. It's much more open and remote to work now. Excellent. Excellent. I like it. I like it. Revive New. Yep, we are heading out of here. We are about to raid Joseph Caffarelli, who I don't know. So good luck, everyone. I spelled it right because I copied and pasted it. We're gonna head over. Peace out, everyone. I'm gonna go get some food. I'm gonna go get some water. Tomorrow on Decoded, we are doing all about string. We're gonna be learning about string methods and how to manipulate strings and all that stuff tomorrow in both Go and Python. So if you're interested, come on through and absolutely going to kiss the baby. Peace out, everyone. Have a great night.